Good evening, guys, and welcome
Hello,
back to the
everybody.
Timeless Gamer Show.
Yes, hello, everybody. Sorry, being kind of the new guy here when it comes to technology. I'm still feeling things out. Call it honeymoon night here at Timeless Gamer Show for me. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Timeless Gamer Show. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Timeless Gamer Show, where our games and bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain timeless. This podcast is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. For all of our previous episodes, you can check our YouTube channel, Timeless Gamers Show. You can also check out our website, timelessgamers.com, and you can also listen to us in all major audio streaming platforms by searching Timeless Gamers Show. We would also like to take this opportunity to show our appreciation to BitMap Books and Streamyard for allowing us to be one of their official affiliates. And shout out to our Retromancy co-branches, Studio.ph and Shuffle Emporium. And also, shout out to our retro gaming friends for the Sega Mega Masters podcast and retro gamers and collectors of the Philippines. Previously, we discussed some visual novel games. So please do check that episode out. We have our archive in our previous episodes in our local podcast uh audio channels and our YouTube channel. And of course, previously Drew and Miss Hinu were co-captains. Actually, no. Miss Hinu, Miss
Was
Eileen,
Captain.
and Drew were co-captains, and that was a first for us. Actually, three captains in one show. It was a rollicking show. It was a lot of fun. It was very enjoyable, and everybody had a lot of fun with that one. Visual novels, who knew they were so much fun? But yeah, before we begin, let's introduce the people who are here right now. Let's begin, ladies first, with Miss Eileen, Miss Anselin Porter. Take it away, Miss Eileen.
Hi everyone, welcome to our puzzle games episode. I hope you enjoy our picks and maybe you can discover new titles because I guess not everybody is into puzzles. Hope you can enjoy our picks for tonight and drop by on our comment sections on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube for your own picks.
All right, wonderful, excellent. Thank you very much, Miss Eileen, and of course, the man with the shiny pate, Drew. Introduce yourself and say hi, Drew.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good night to everyone here in the chat. Everybody who's listening on the future with our audio episode. This is your Pinoy Otaku in Japan, but not in Tokyo. This is your Tito Bernal Drew. And what's puzzling right now is I am the one who's gonna be captaining you guys, and I'm not actually an enthusiast when it comes to puzzle games. I'm actually more of the casual enjoyer. It just comes as a surprise because I tend to enjoy them at surprising moments, and I tend to get addicted to them quite a bit. And but we'll get into that. But the real difference with our episode for tonight, it is the 180 of what we did last time, wherein the main focus of our episode were story driven games because it is visual novels, so they're like books, so they're mostly story based games. Wherein for this episode we will be focusing mainly on games that has their stories taking a back seat and mainly focusing on just games. And back to you, Sir Joel.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Drew. All right. So, um, as one of the main portions of our show, we always begin with weekly game news. So, what is the biggest news of the week in terms of the gaming sphere? I think Drew has something very interesting for us. Drew, tell us all about what happened in the gaming sphere this past week that rocked the gaming world.
So, this has been brewing for quite a bit because earlier this year there was quite a surprise because a game suddenly dropped, and this game was something a certain fan base were has been clamoring for. They were expecting this particular company to produce a game in this particular series to be as as surprising as what this entry did. And what the game that I'm talking about is Power World. So this is dubbed as the Pokemon with guns. And apparently, the only platform that it did not release on is the Nintendo Switch. So, and now after months of maybe brainstorming on how the Pokemon Company could possibly take action in regards to certain infringement, they have decided to file a patent infringement lawsuit on Packet Pair in regards to certain similarities to Pokemon. So there's a lot of details and certain news sites that been going around, and it's quite lengthy to actually go through this. But at the end of the day, Pokemon wants some action on what, because Palworld has been very very successful, and the only platform it did not launch on, the only platform that did not had gained any money from this particular game is the Pokemon Company and their parent company, which is Nintendo. So the bottom line is they're filing a patent infringement totally different from what a copyright infringement is. Well, I'm not an attorney, so I can't really get into the nitty details of this one. So that's the gaming news. So what are your opinions on this, Sir Joel, Miss Eins? Any thoughts? Huh?
Well, before I toss out my opinion, I'd like to greet our audience right now. People are filing into the show. We have a raid from Retro Gaming Ties. Thanks
Yeah,
very much, Derek. Thanks very much, Derek.
that's Sir
Derek Sonic,
Derek.
Retro Gaming Ties.
Welcome,
Maraming
readers.
salamat, Derek. And well, I'd like to say hi to everybody here. Our topic for today, as Derek was asking, our topic for today is puzzle games. Kung sino man yung mga mahihilig sa mga puzzle games dyan, whoever likes puzzle games, this is the episode that you guys are going to be enjoying. Miss Eileen, could you say hi to everybody in the chats, please?
Hi, everybody. On our Facebook, we have our regular Marlon Hurtado Elis Cupides. Hi, welcome. And thank you, Sir Derek, for the raid, Retro Gaming Times, and our raiders, Save Room First Productions, DGTamer43 underscore TW, Tamu Tamu 9188, Kuya L Gaming, and there's our people on the chat. Hi, everyone. Thank you for dropping by.
All right. And joining us right now is Viraj. Viraj Katwadia. We are just to keep Viraj up to speed. We are talking about the gaming news of the week, Viraj, about how Nintendo are suing Pocket Pair, the guys who developed Pal World, for patent infringement. We were just about to toss our personal opinions on it. My personal opinion is it is very much within Nintendo's right to sue because of the fact that they legally have to, because if they don't, then they are going to be remiss in protecting their intellectual property. Well, what they perceive to be their intellectual
Yeah.
property anyway.
I,
But yeah, in Viraj, you had something to say. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm surprised this hasn't happened sooner because as soon as I saw this Power World, I just thought this is just a rip-off of Pokemon. And it looks so similar and like the same. So, like, yeah, they just copied Pokemon. That's my opinion, right? You can say you guys are welcome to believe what you want, but
Absolutely.
Pokemon, and the characters were so similar to Pokemon. I think the only thing that I remember going like in terms of Pokemon lawsuits, I always remember that magician Yuri Geller, and he tried to though because he was a spoon bender, and there's a Pokemon called Abra, and Abra bends spoons and Kadabra, and Yuri Geller was trying to say Nintendo got the Pokemon the idea of spoon bending from him. Obviously, he lost the case because it was stupid.
Oh yes,
really out the window. But this is obviously something that's clearly they're just too. It's like a clone. It's like a cheap knockoff of Pokemon. I always thought Pal World. It was like, oh, I'm doing a Pal World. It's so cool. I'm like, no, it's Pokemon, but just different, but a little bit. But it just looks like a carbon clone. So, whose side am I on in regards to this? I'm actually indifferent, really. I mean, I think that's a matter for the courts. From what I see it as is, it does look very similar. So I can see where Nintendo are going, and it's as you just mentioned earlier, Nintendo have every right to do what they want to do. Because if I was in charge of Nintendo, I'd feel the same way. To be fair, it looks like my P's have been, anyway.
Absolutely. How about you, Miss Eileen? What's your personal opinion on this?
I would say I'm the same as Sir Biraj. I'm not really concerned about the topic, but I would say I think it's about time. Not that I want the company to be sued, but it took so long for Nintendo to do that. I guess they were trying to study what they could actually prosecute them on.
Hmm.
So, and it's just odd Pokemon's having guns. But I'm not
Hmm.
really happy that a company is getting sued. It's just surprising that it took so long.
Hmm. Okay, my personal opinion is that yes, Nintendo is very much well within their rights to do this, but it also serves to push the how stale Pokemon has become for
Yeah.
the last decade because of the fact that people, the pocket pair people have given people what they have been looking for the longest time from Pokemon. And Pokemon, pardon my language, but Pokemon have been sitting, the Pokemon company has been sitting on their ass for forever
Yes.
in giving people what they want, more development into what the concept of monster catching and collecting can do. And Nintendo has been very much sitting on their laurels for the longest time. It's time to
And
light a fire underneath their behinds for them to start developing something more interesting with the Pokemon franchise.
Well, you
And
say that. I mean, very
mm,
quickly, I was going to say Pokemon is the largest grossing franchise in the world.
agree,
90
yes,
yes.
How would you give that up? And whenever
mhm,
I go to a gaming market, Pokemon is my bestseller.
yes,
I stock a franchise which I don't really care that much about. I gave
mhm,
up Gold and Silver and Gen 2 Pokemon on the
yeah,
handheld.
mhm,
I know
I,
about the games and where they've gone, but I don't care. But it sells. It
mhm,
sells. I don't blame Nintendo for continuing. This is their flagship IP. Of course, they're going to defend it. They want to
yes,
I,
keep that monopoly of what they
of course.
created of this
Of,
pocket monster catching thing. Go
Drew,
on.
I,
you're about to say something.
stopped caring about Pokemon the moment they had the hubris to give us Pokebank and I forgot the other name, Pokemon Home, and just canceling them, and for you to be able to transfer all of your hard works assets, because that's one of the things that they tried to promote in introducing new generation, is that you could get all your old Pokemons, the ones that you have captured from previous Pokemon, and bring them to the newer Pokemons. But with the whole Pokemon Home and Pokemon Bank switching, and they are being just outright greedy and outright lazy with what they are doing with Pokemon.
So,
I mean, it's not just the main game. They could innovate in spin-off series. They have done so. They have Pokemon Ranger. They have other Pokemon games that carry on the Pokemon franchise, but they are not doing as much with the property that they have, and they're just doing
talking
the
about you're talking about the artistry of the game and its quality standard. It's
yeah,
dipped from what the predecessor. And we talk about the core Pokemon games because obviously for those of you listening, you know that there were always like a Pokemon game, like there'd be a red or a blue or a silver or a gold or a violet or a scarlet or whatever it is
yeah.
they call it. So you're talking about the core franchise and how they haven't innovated as much as they did once upon a time. I think the problem with that, and to answer the question with why they aren't or whatever, all they have to do, I mean, in regards to Nintendo, they could just take a in some tinfoil, tie it up, and then they could sell it to the Pokemon fans, and they'll still be happy. That's
Yeah,
basically it. They could make a Pokemon game that is still mediocre, and the fans will buy it because it's only when those sales start to dip in the same way that Final Fantasy and SquareSoft RPGs have, will the company have to seriously think about doing something. So until Nintendo gets a bloody nose, from people not buying Pokemon games, only then will they think, okay, we need to do something different. I will say this though, in regards to the topic at hand, Pal World, and Nintendo going after them, that is a threat to Nintendo's IP, and Nintendo are going to go for it because they see it as a threat. But I totally understand because I haven't played the Pokemon games in years. This is what a lot of people are saying, that the newer Pokemon games artistically aren't as great as the old ones. Yes, they add little things there and there, but it's like the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 10. What's the real big difference, or whatever the new stuff is? So you really have to make a sequel. You have to make it a revolution now to catch people's eyes, not so much an evolution. But hey, listen, Drew, I totally agree with you. Nintendo really need to sort of stay on top. And okay, suing Pal World, that's one thing, but how about we focus on the franchise at hand and protecting it by making a quality game for the next generation? And to be honest, Nintendo, they can listen to us or the critics or whatever, but I think that with them they've yo-yoed with Pokemon. There has been a good Pokemon year, and then there's been one that hasn't been so great. So I'm sure they'll come back with Pokemon and make a quality Pokemon game. It's just a matter of time.
And I think they were going in the right direction with Pokemon Arceus, but then suddenly they flipped out. Just like with what's happening with Sony right now, they do one good thing, then they turn 180, do a bad
What do you
decision.
mean? What do you mean one bad thing? What are you talking about? What do you mean bad thing?
Which one? Which one? Which one?
Are you
Sony?
complaining about the new PlayStation 5 Pro? Is that what you're complaining about?
Well, I'm talking about Concord, then Astrobot, then PlayStation 5 Pro, then they're doing 180, 180,
All right.
180.
We will continue that discussion offline because we are moving away from the main topic discussion. Going forward, though, the meat and potatoes of this week's episode is going to be puzzle games. All right. Well, that discussion we'll put a pin on that one, but it is a discussion that is going to be very, very interesting. People, you guys can go to our Facebook page and talk about all the most controversial things about Sony, which we can still definitely do an episode on. Well, speaking of which, right there. Anyway,
I am tempted to get that 30th anniversary Grey edition.
I have to agree. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be $700.
Just to flip it for more money because I know they're so limited. That's the only reason to do it.
I lost out. I lost out on the PlayStation 4 Gray edition. That was a cool one. But anyway,
now you can right or wrong get the Gray.
Exactly. I was gonna say, yeah. There you go. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Drew, take us away. Give us those puzzle games. Define what are puzzle games.
Well, puzzle games, as the description, as the word says, it's about piecing together certain pieces or certain elements for you to be able to solve something or to make something out of the other things that you were given. So either you are matching colors, you're trying to make a puzzle, as certain puzzle games actually do make you make a puzzle, you're trying to solve. It's just a brain exercise. It's something like a crossword wherein it helps you do things. It makes your mind active, but at the same time, it lets you have fun. It's mostly quick games wherein you sometimes you're not even really feeling that you're using your brain. You're just having fun. You're trying to make something that with what limited things that are presented to you. And most of the times it's just colorful tiles or twisting or rotating certain things. But most at the end of the day, puzzle games are about, well, it's like piecing together certain puzzle pieces. I know I'm not the most glorious person to actually describe certain things about a puzzle, but that's as how I can as casually define the puzzle games from my perspective. Sir Joel, would you is there anything you would like to add in your perspective to puzzle games?
Not really. That's a very good and concise definition of what a puzzle game is, Drew. Thanks very much for that. I would just add one thing. It's puzzle. Part of the puzzle game is figuring out the maximization of a particular mechanic of a game, whether it's a combination of things, whether it's moving things around to their optimal positions, or making sure that something gets activated by something else. I guess, how it's a cause and effect. So the whole thing of a puzzle game is cause and effect in my brain. So something has to happen. For something to happen, you have to make something else happen first. So at its core, I guess that's one part of the puzzle game piece that I would just add in. But, your definition is short, sweet, concise, straight to the point. Anybody want to add anything? Miss I, would you like to see if there's anything that you can add to the description of a puzzle game? And does it need to have something else like colors or shapes or maybe lewdness? If Joe were here, he would say that.
I would say if something is becoming a head scratcher that you really have to think on your toes and think outside of the box, that I would say a puzzle game doesn't necessarily have to be something like visual that you just move around. It could be any genre that mixes certain elements that makes you think, how can I solve this puzzle?
Very true. Very
So
true.
by my Miss Eins, it's problem solving, and it
Problem
doesn't
solving.
need to be confined in certain elements, which is a
Agree.
very very nice description. And I know she would be elaborating on this a little bit later.
Yes.
Anyway, Sir
From the
Biraj, is there anything you
description.
wish to add?
Yo,
Yep.
Viraj, man with a plan. Is there anything in particular that defines what a puzzle game is to you?
Well, the puzzle genre has evolved from the beginning, from simple things like block puzzlers to puzzles where you're problem solving. It's basically a you get arcade again. You got arcade puzzlers, and because the genre has so many. Because you could argue that a lot of adventure games now have puzzle elements in there as well. So I would say that it's just a problem solving a game where you're solving problems fundamentally, whether there's a timer on it or not or whatever. You're just solving problems fundamentally. But when we think of puzzle games, we think typically of block puzzlers. That's the truth. But there are so many other genres, and obviously we'll cover them. We'll cover the array of puzzle games. I'm sure we will have a list in our heads or jot it down as to what games we want to cover for this particular episode. But yeah, I mean, mine in my head they're mostly block puzzlers, to be honest. That's why I look at them. But they have evolved further on. There's games like Professor Layton, for example, and that is seen as a puzzling game. But obviously, there's a story around all the little puzzles and the different puzzles and the variety you have in that. And that's really taken puzzling games to another level. But we'll touch on that later, or whoever's going to cover that game. But for me, it always started off as a block puzzler, or even from like the MS DOS era, from like games like Minesweeper or etc. etc. So there's so many different types of puzzle games. But obviously, we'll touch on them. But yeah, that's what
And
kind
and of course, before anything else, we have joining us, Joe RPG. Joe, hey, thanks very much for being here. And of course, show can't go on without him. Definitely. I was about to say that we haven't, Joe. I just wanted to let you know that we haven't done show and tell this week yet, because most of our purchases have just been digital, and it might be, we can definitely talk about it as the show goes, but nothing physical right now. So all right, so back to you, Drew. Get us rolling. Tell us all about what why, and start off the
Well,
discussion. Go ahead.
I yeah, thank you, Sergio. Sorry if we're sometimes overlapping in
Yeah.
our voices, but anyway, anyway, to start our puzzle game episode, it's actually we have me and Miss Ants were actually been discussing that there has not been a puzzle episode, and puzzle and what's surprising is that puzzle games, in my opinion, please do correct me if I'm wrong on this one, is a game genre that most people that are not gamers, or most people who do not really think of themselves as gamers, the casual enjoyers, this is the genre that most of them has played throughout certain points in the gaming history. So to start off the gaming discussion, I want to present the viewers, listeners, with a certain game which was something integral in the Philippine pop culture and the Philippine gaming culture. This game is Tetris. So most people know this by another name. It's called Brick Game, and we will elaborate on that a little bit later. But to start off, for those who are not who don't know what Tetris is, Tetris is basically a falling block pieces puzzle game. It's an arcade game. What your goal is to be able to make complete straight lines without any spaces, and that particular line, that set of tiles would disappear. So your goal is to get a maximum high score. This is somewhat endless. So blocks will just keep falling and falling apart. It would intensify either by getting certain pieces falling faster, or certain pieces not dropping at a certain point. So it has had many iterations throughout the history of the gaming world. But I could not, one thing that we could not really say is that there is an actual Tetris 2 or something along those lines. It's just mostly different iterations. It has been released on the Game Boy, it has been released on multiple platforms, and just recently it was released a few years back, Tetris Effect. So this is very well known. This is a very iconic game because you have the L tile, you got the S tile, you got the square tile, and this has been played by so many people during our age. Well, during the 90s, yeah, 90s, Sergio, I think 90s. So if if I'm wrong, please just um do correct me. Anyway, yeah, okay. So as
80s,
I
80s.
No,
was
no,
saying,
no,
it
no.
was
You're right. You're right. Back in the
Yeah.
especially during the 90s, especially
Well,
during the Korea Kino days. You guys know you
yeah.
guys know what it was, how it went during the times when there were rolling blackouts like every freaking night, and all
yeah.
you have right there, well, it's either you're playing with your friends or you're just sitting at the back of the corner of your house playing your local bootleg brick game,
Mm.
stealing all of the batteries inside the house,
I mean,
Yeah,
especially
I
that TV
actually
remote
have.
controls. It's
we
not
did
safe.
a. I mean, we did a review on this game called. Well, we did a review on the movie. There's a movie about Tetris. So those of you
Did
who
we
haven't,
do in the movie?
yeah, so if you haven't seen the previous episode, we talked about the movie, the origins of the games, how it started off in Soviet Russia and how it got its way to the West. Lovely story, interesting story, a little bit dramatized, but a bit of fun. But yeah, Tetris. I mean, it's actually one of the most highest grossing games ever. You know, because it's been repackaged and resold so many times over. Sega got the arcade rights, so they had the arcade rights to Tetris, and there was this whole contention about Sega getting Tetris and putting it on their system. There was a Mega Drive version of Tetris, and because Nintendo had the rights to the console, they couldn't put it on. Years later, we got on the Mega Drive Mini, you can actually play the Sega version of Tetris. But Nintendo predominantly has a stake in it. But yeah, like you said, Drew, it's a simple block puzzler, isn't it? It's just, I mean, you know, so Joe might agree with me. It's a very sexual game, isn't it? If you think about it, you know, you
It's
putting
it's
it in a hole,
actually a game,
boom.
and
My
here's the
goodness. I
thing.
step out for a moment and you guys start talking about sex and puzzle games already. Okay, come
Yeah,
on,
and
Raj.
here's
It's a very sexual game. You're feeling
I'm about to get to the good part, Sir Joel.
fine,
I'm
fine,
about
fine.
to get
Let's
to the
get to
good
the
bit.
good part
Okay.
then.
Anyway, so as
simple.
Mirage
The
was
sex can be
saying, it's
so
a very
boring that you're
arcadey game.
playing Tetris.
I thought you'd take my side on this, Sir Joe. You like all this sort of salacious conversation. I'm talking about Tetris being a sexual game.
No,
I thought you'd have jumped on the bandwagon of that.
We're talking about sextris, yes.
Okay.
There is, I think there's a way.
yes, we're
let
talking
me
about
think.
sextris.
Yeah.
Let me think about Viraj's logic for a moment. So you build the pressure up and then you slot the four brick in very quickly
Yeah.
and you make the
Complete
whole thing.
line, and that's the orgasm. There it is.
Got it.
There's
Okay.
the-
I follow
Yeah,
the
you
logic.
bit.
Okay.
No, you bit me too,
And the
and
bigger
I was about
you
to
got three
elaborate on this. No,
Fine, fine.
this is atrocious. Anyway,
if you get three
Sex
lines in
Twist
a
is
row,
a
you
very,
get
very
orgasm.
sexual game. It's a very, very
Yeah.
sexual game because you keep on trying to build pressure. You keep on trying to edge yourself. Then the moment you get the line piece and you insert that thing in, you get
Mm.
climax. You get instant
Mm.
gratification. You get your
Yeah, but
satisfaction.
you
You get
do
to
Mm.
release. Then after
you,
that, you build your pent up aggression again until you get to release and
Yeah.
release and
Mm.
release. It's such a sexual game. It's all about
I'm looking at
inserting
Miss
it
Eileen's
at
face
the
right now.
right
For those of you
angle.
in the audio podcast, she's just
Very-
got
I'm
this.
wondering, I'm in the center.
Speaking of pent up aggression, let's hear about Miss Eileen. Your experience with Tetris. I mean Tetris.
The original Tetris. I was able to play Tetris both on the family computer and on the Game Boy, and it's just endless fun. And I think was it last year that somebody beat no, I think
So
it's technically beat the game because it
crash.
just froze at a certain point when the kid was playing it on stream. So amazing that somebody has finally broken, well, not broken the record, but made the record of actually finishing Tetris.
Yeah.
That was really awesome. Not awesome with the news outlet that said the kid was, pardon the term, a loser or something. They do
Mm-hmm.
not understand the
Mm-hmm.
achievement that
No, they do
kid
not.
did.
Anyway, yeah, good game.
Indeed.
I mean,
Yeah, and
basically.
I
Oh,
think
sorry,
And
sorry. Let me just put in, Drew. Personally speaking, Tetris also gives life lessons. Because of the fact that your mistakes pile up, and and your achievements disappear. That's what happens in Tetris. Your mistakes keep piling up until it's game over, and your achievements, if you do well, they all disappear. Life lessons.
oh,
you're
and
So
special
you're
abilities.
only
Special.
you're yeah, you're only as good as the next as your next pile.
yes,
You're only
agreed.
and
Completely
your
agreed.
problems are not gonna stop. They're just gonna keep pouring. They're just gonna rain down on you, and you just need to keep solving and thinking of ways how to keep on solving the next problem until it all disappears, only for them to rain down on you again and pile up. By the way, guys, for those of you on our video side, here's some practical life lesson that Tetris has taught me. So right now I'm showing what the boxes here at my game room look like. So Tetris taught me how to do this.
Yeah.
You see that there's no
True.
nothing. There's nothing that is supporting my boxes. Just boxes on top of other boxes. Even
Well,
here, boxes on top of other boxes, and that has one of the practical
Drew,
life lessons that
you do
Tetris has
know
taught
that in
me.
Japan it's on the Ring of Fire, right? And there's lots of
Yep,
earthquakes, right?
yep. And when that does eventually happen, just like Tetris, they're all gonna disappear.
Eh,
Anyway,
no, no, I mean the
yeah.
fact is,
Well,
if you're under that pile, I
Yes.
worry about you.
he's got, yeah,
oh
and
yeah, I'm gonna be buried in my happess. So
Oh my
that's that.
goodness. Fine.
I'm gonna be dying buried in something that I love. So
you just
there's
imagine
that.
you in bed going like this while the earthquake is going on, and you're saying, "Don't abuse the pig." That's
Oh
our don't abuse the pig. Anyway,
my goodness. Okay, fine. So Tetris being the granddaddy, not so much the very first puzzle game, but one of the
first
most iconic ones.
the
The one
biggest.
that jumps to mind when you say puzzle games. It's the one of the very first ones. Good intro, Drew. Excellent. Okay. Shall we do a round robin of everybody's primary contribution into the puzzle game genre?
Okay.
Might I interject, Sir
Sure,
Joel?
sure, absolutely.
Before we close down on the whole Tetris
Oh yeah, absolutely.
introduction, I just want to really emphasize how much Tetris as a video game has affected the Filipinos growing up, because when everybody didn't have a Game Boy, everybody didn't have a Super Nintendo, everybody did not really go to the arcades during that era. But the only thing that actually makes Tetris really really famous in the Philippines is because the of what Sir Joe has said earlier. We had this cheap knockoffs. They are called brick games, and everybody, and I don't mean everybody in a literal sense, but most of the people got access to this, and most of the people are addicted to this, even to the point that it is ingrained into other forms of media, where there are jokes in Philippine movies, Philippine series, wherein if you disturb somebody playing at Tetris, they would kill you in a
Yeah,
sense.
and
So that's
they
one
would
of
go jurumentado. In local
yes,
parlance, it's called
they would.
jurumentado. They would. It's the same way that if you interrupt somebody singing "My Way," Frank Sinatra's "My Way" in a karaoke, if you interrupt him or you insult him, he would pull out a 45 and start blasting. That's Filipino culture for you. What can I say? There you go.
Anyway,
Excellent
I'm
choice.
gonna end. That's gonna end it with that. I just really want to really
Mhm.
interject something that happened in the Philippines during our era, our
Yes,
old
agreed.
guy era. So,
Yeah.
Sir Joel has been saying earlier we would be doing a round robin. But before we do our round robin, let's do a little bit of show and tell first. If you
All right.
guys have something up your sleeve, and as usual, as always, before after I do some grocery shopping, I tend to treat myself for a job well done during the week, and it's not so much. And this is for the video viewers. This plastic bag is from Monday Shoten. This is a local shop here in Japan that sells good quality retro games here. So if you are gonna be visiting Japan, especially the Gunma area, that is the top part of if you're gonna land on Tokyo, it's gonna be around 4 hours up north. So we have a chain store here named Monday Shoten. They sell a lot of good quality retro video games, and I treated myself to some Xbox games.
Oh,
So
OG Xbox games. Nice.
yes, OG Xbox games.
Dude,
So I got here the
Blinks
platformer for
2.
Xbox. Yes, this is
Nice.
the second game. So this is Blink's Battle of Time and Space 2. So this is the second one in there. So this is some animorphic anthropomorphic. I'm sorry, I'm not
Anthropomorphic. Yes. It's a very difficult
anthropomorphic.
word to say. Yeah.
Yeah, anthropomorphic, something like Jack and Daxter, but plays a little
well,
yeah,
guy
something
who
like Jack and
created
Daxter. Yeah.
Ashima,
So got this and
created
Sorry,
Blink. You
Viraj
know,
is about to say something. Go ahead, Viraj.
the artist who created Sonic the Hedgehog created Blinks the Time Sweeper. Same
Oh, very cool.
Naoto
yeah.
Oshima, who drew Sonic for Sega. Obviously, everyone
Oh.
credits Yuji Naka for the first Sonic game, but he just created the engine. The actual character design was by, I think his name was Naoto Oshima. I think that's his name. And yeah, Blinks the Time Sweeper has a link to Sonic the Hedgehog. They have the same genetics because the same creator made both. There you go.
Very nice.
There
So
you
I
go
didn't even
from
know that. A little bit of trivia. You learn something new every
yeah.
day. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I think the second game that I got is something that Biraj would know since this is a Sega game.
Oh
So
yeah,
this
Gun
is Gun
Valkyrie. Nice.
Valkyrie. Gun Valkyrie. I don't know about this game, but since I have been collecting for the sexy box for quite a while, I saw this game very cheap, and I saw that it is backwards compatible with the Series X. Has a little bit. I'm not sure if it's full English compatible, but it has some compatibility. I think it's an arcade game, not really sure, but this is, by the way, guys, this is how we do our research on the video game. We grab the game off the shelf, we're gonna check the back for the pretty pictures, we're gonna decide if it's cool enough for us to dish out some of our hard-earned cash. We didn't have internet. All we had is the media that we could physically touch. We're not rich enough to keep buying the monthly magazines back then. So this is how we do it. We check it, we see it, we smell it, we
which is
fantasize about it, we check our wallets. If there's enough
that's
dough
not
in there, we go for it.
bad.
Anyway, Gun
You bought the
Valkyrie.
game
Or
because you saw the girl on the front cover. Let's be honest here, and you liked a bit of what you saw on the front cover.
I know. I
He's
know.
nodding. He's
It's
nodding.
all about the plot. Let's look at the plot on this one. Sir Joe
See,
approves. I think even Sir Joe would be getting the
it,
plot on this
it makes
one.
no, listen. I don't understand why there's armor all up here, but from the waist down, there's nothing protecting her. What's the deal with this?
Aerodynamic design,
Aerodynamics
Garage.
and
Aerodynamic design
easy
so that you can
access,
run
Viraj.
faster.
Easy
When you lean
access, Eric.
forward, your
Hey,
weight moves forward and your legs have less wind drag. So, what
Whatever,
can I
man.
say?
also, also, Barrage, it's called easy access. You're in the middle of the war. Sometimes you're in there for hours, a day or something. You needed to piss, you needed to shit. You just move it a little bit to the left, then you just let it all out while you're gonna boom, 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 boom.
Man makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Man
'cause
makes a lot of sense.
practicality.
I thought you were saying easy access. I thought you were going to imply something else. But let's
I
move
mean,
on.
heck,
Come on,
you know.
Viraj. Come on.
Excited. Yeah, I knew you'd like that one. Yeah, let's move on. This is getting.
Let's move on to the next one then. Okay.
Let's move on. But no, it's a very good game for what it is, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. You know, because it's got to be good. It's a Sega on it, right?
Yeah, that's why I said you're gonna. It's either you know about it or you're
I don't
gonna
know anything
really
about this
recommend
game.
this one.
It's
So
set in
this is
Japan. What do I know?
this is if me and Sir Joe would be going for the plot here.
What do you
Sir
think about-
Biraj would be going to the publisher's name here.
Yeah,
He
you'd
won't,
be like,
he won't
you'd be
care
like,
about the plot. It's just if it says Sega, there is hey Sega good.
and as you guys looking at the backs of her thighs and a booty crease, and you're thinking, this is what I want to see. Fine.
We're all
okay.
about the plots.
And then when you open the game and you go into, there's nothing like that in there. That was just it was a honey trap. You know, you got honey trapped into buying this. All right.
Well, I checked the inside of the game. There's definitely a hole in here.
That's dark.
Anyway,
But those are the
moving on. That's it for my show and tell. Any of you guys have anything for show and tell?
Oh,
So-
me personally. Oh, go ahead, Viraj. You go first.
I'm not gonna even bother because all my stuff isn't ever for me. I buy game collections for other people, so then they'll buy it from me. So I have I buy games at a large quantity to sell on because I run a side business where obviously as you gents know I buy and sell video games. I haven't got any new pickups yet. There is something I've pre-ordered for myself, but I'll wait until that comes.
Okay. Sounds fine.
But I haven't
Let's see.
these days. I mean, I know this is nothing to do with pickup. I mean, this is nothing to do with anything. We passed our game. Obviously, the pictures of the new Switch leaked online. I don't know if you saw that, but that's also something that's got me interested. But I'll wait until next year. But in terms of new content, these days, you know, I sell the 7 Cs. You know, I don't like spending money on these sort of things. You know, that's just me in general. But let's get back to the subject at hand, then, shall we? Puzzle games. Okay, so you mentioned Tetris, right? So what shall I say? What do I talk about as a puzzle game? Well, I don't know if Sir Dan's done a video or not. Has he done a video, Sir Joe? No. So I can do all the Sega stuff. Great. I don't have to worry about talking about it. My first puzzle game when I grew up, I'll talk about my first one. It's quite a famous game on the Sega side of things. It's called Columns. Okay, so on the Nintendo side, on the Game Boy side, they had Tetris. Sega developed Columns. Now, Columns is an arcade puzzler, and it was later ported to the Mega Drive and obviously the other systems, the Master System, Game Gear, as well. And in a similar vein as Tetris, you have, you know, an area, a cavity, and you have blocks that fall. However, these blocks are different because they all have different gemstones in them. So these are obviously the 1990 columns we have a look at in here. And you can play, you know, you go to the menu and play the arcade mode or whatever. So here you go. So you got the puzzles that are falling down. You have to basically match the colors. Yeah, it's like Connect 3 in essence, but obviously you can shift the colors in sequentially in those 3 little blocks that come there to match up with the ones down there. So much more complex than Tetris, not as simple as Tetris. You know, you have to think very quickly, and as the level increases, the blocks fall down at a quicker rate. If you can see on top right, you can see what the next block is going to be. I think later Tetris games incorporated that as to what the next piece will be. But with columns, that was, you know, one of those things from the get-go. The more difficult the level, the more different colors you'll find as well. So obviously there's like 5 different gemstones. I think on level 1 you have 4 different ones. So it's easier to match up the gemstones. But if you've got more of a varied number of gemstones, the game is harder. It's also 2 players, which is wonderful. So really you can just compete in terms of scores and what you get. So that's the sort of versus thing I had. I got this game as part of a Mega Games compilation. So what Sega did later on towards releases, some of their more primitive early releases, they just jam into one cartridge. So I had the cartridge which had Super Hang-On, Columns, and World Cup Italia 90, which is a soccer game. And this, out of the 3 games, this is the game that got played the most in my family because my father is a huge fan of puzzlers. He loves this sort of stuff. So spend hours on this trying to get the high score and whatnot. Has a very sort of mellow sort of soundtrack as well. So it's there, but Columns. There you go. It had its sequel, Columns 2, The Revenge of Columns. That wasn't on the Mega Drive. It was in the arcades. And there was a Columns 3, however, on the Mega Drive, and that offered 5-player, multiple player support. And that was, sadly, we never got that in Europe. It was a Genesis Japanese game. I think it might have been just a Genesis exclusive. But yes, you could play 5-player Columns. So that was like a game that that's the game that I got into playing puzzles with. Not so Tetris, because I didn't have that. That's a game I played later on after Columns, but Columns was my first one. A special mention is the Game Gear version of Columns. I think that's the best one in how it plays. So that's if you guys have a Game Gear, that's the one that I'd recommend you give a go. That's actually a really good puzzler for it. So that's sort of the first puzzler that I was a fan of. Are we sequentially talking about all the puzzles that we want to talk about, or are we going to go to the next sort of person once we finish talking?
We'll do the next person then. People can offer their opinions too on the game that the person threw out. So my personal opinion of Columns, really fun game, much more restrictive than Tetris though, because you can only you don't rotate your puzzle piece. You can only move vertically to arrange the gem to try to see if it fits on a pattern as you drop it down, and it's much more restrictive. It's personally speaking, I think it's much harder than Tetris.
It's harder than Tetris.
You ask me, yes. It's not even, it doesn't use lateral. I would say lateral thinking, but in a vertical manner. You have to think. You have to think vertically this time.
It doesn't help if you're colorblind.
There's also that, yeah. I mean, it does kind of. At least the gems are different shapes each, if I remember correctly, right, Viraj? There you go. So they're very considered on that respect. Yeah, very cool, very cool. Anybody else have any opinions on Columns? Viraj's first game.
Yeah. I would like. It looks somewhat similar to Puyo.
Yeah, Puyo. Well, that was going to be my other game that we talk afterwards, and I can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks somewhat similar to Puyo. That's generally what I was gonna say. And it looks like it plays like Puyo, but at the same time it somewhat looks like Bejeweled. So there's that. Anyway, back to you, Sir Joel. That was what I was gonna be saying. Anyway.
How about Miss Eileen? I'm curious as to what Miss Eileen might think about Columns, Viraj's first choice of game. What do you think, Miss Eileen? You saw the gameplay. You saw how it looks. First thoughts.
I would say it looks very similar to I think you were there, Sir Joel, when I played the Ranma puzzle game.
Oh, yeah.
On my stream one time. It's very, very similar, but the difference here is, what I like here is you can actually match diagonally. Because in the Ranma game, it's actually a similar mechanic and concept, but it's only vertical and horizontal that you could match. This one, you got vertical. And I like the other puzzle games. You have the next set of blocks or tiles that you will get. So it's easier to plan ahead because you have to think on your feet because it gets faster and it's nice. You could actually battle someone. I see a second player there.
Nice. Very good. Very good input, Miss Eileen. Thanks very much for that. Joe, I want to hear your thoughts. Columns on Viraj's game. Do you like it? Do you hate it?
Yeah.
Nah.
No. I mean, I played something similar. I'm not sure which game was it, but I played something similar. And yeah, you guys are right. It looks like Tetris, but plays differently. This is one of those games that I'd rather play if I'm idle somewhere, like if I'm waiting. It's not something that I would simply just sit down and spend most of my hours playing on it. So it's a good game to pass over the time, sure. But that's pretty much all of the puzzle games in general. Really, it's just there to help you pass the time. I mean, keeps your intellect running. Really, keeps your brain running, keeps you thinking, decision making as well, critical thinking, right? Um, but it's but like I mentioned, I can still play it. Sure, if I have nothing else to play, sure, I'll play it. Sure, I'll play something like this again.
Sounds like a very backhanded compliment coming from you, Joe.
Well,
But what can I say? That it's the truth.
because,
Uh,
because some people have said, look, the best version of this is the handheld Game Gear version because of how it
mm,
plays. So actually, it's a game that's really cool if you're in a waiting room and you need something to play. Obviously, back in the day, people play on their Game Gears, and that was actually a very popular puzzler that would they take on the go. And I think the programming for the Game Gear version was just that much better on that version than the Mega Drive. Graphics is obviously superior on the Mega Drive version, but yeah, definitely a puzzler worth checking out if you like something Sega related. And I think obviously that was a pack in with the Game Gear, whereas Tetris was the pack in with the Game Boy. And I think that was Sega trying to sort of compete. And even though you could argue the game is technically superior in how it plays and all the different shapes and colors and how you go about taking the blocks down, I think in terms of the joy and simplicity of Tetris and the fact that it was accessible for anyone of any age, whereas if you're trying to teach someone to play columns, you have to sort of explain a bit more, and it was a bit more brain power. To be honest, columns is a game where you have to be a bit more logical, but at the same time, is it a game that has more fun factor than Tetris? I can't say that it does, sadly. But I
I
enjoy.
would say, yeah. The thing about columns is that it has more of everything, but somehow the sum of its parts equal to less than Tetris. I'm sorry
Yeah,
to have to say
no,
that.
it's true. I think that's why everybody, obviously, the Tetris movie shows that everybody wanted Tetris. Everybody
Mhm.
wanted it because that was the game, was a puzzler, and that was the franchise. Nintendo went after, Sega went after. Everybody wanted rights for this. Microsoft wanted rights. Everybody wanted to get a piece of that because it made millions, that game, and I can understand why. At least Sega got the arcade rights, right? But yeah, Columns was their arcade puzzler that they brought home. And there's obviously different variants of it. Columns, Revenge Columns, like I said, Columns 3. There's also Columns Crown that had on Game Boy Advance, which is an interesting take, but that has a bit of personality to it. That was probably the hardest one, the Game Boy Advance version. But yeah, definitely worth checking out if you haven't played Columns. It's definitely a game worth checking out. I'll say that.
Very cool.
All
All
right,
right. So,
next game. Who's next on
next
the?
game, Drew, show captain. Call out who's going to be
Yeah.
next.
Okay, so I think Miss Eins is gonna be next. But before I present Miss Eins with the platform, I just wanted to give an insight in regards to Biraj saying that the best version is the handheld version. Now, something about puzzle games and something about it draws in casual people. It draws in a lot of non-gamers. I am doing an open close parenthesis thing with my fingers right now for all of
Quotation
our
marks. Yeah.
audio listeners is because the reason why I am saying this is because if you see somebody you are playing, for example, Candy Crush or something along in something you could pick up in the iOS or in the Android Google Play Store or the iOS App Store, a game that you pick it up is because you have some downtime that you don't literally really don't know how to spend the time.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
you're
a
in between your breaks.
time pass.
Maybe it's something to just pick up, take your mind out of it, something to relax you. And I see a lot of people who do not really game, who do not really play the games that we play a lot of puzzle games.
Yeah, much
My wife,
like Eric designed his game. His mother plays it, right? Yeah. So
mhm.
anyway, continue, Drew.
So, couple of people I see playing casual games. My wife, who I have been trying to get into gaming for so long since we married, she never really liked any of the games. But she somehow there was a time she was really addicted to Candy Crush. She was playing it religiously, and there was a time where she would message other people to get energy. She was so happy that I taught her. No, just change the time on the setting up your phone of your tablet so that you get another set of energy. She discovered her mind was blown. It's like her first cheat code ever in her life. She was like, "Oh, I got more energy. I get to play more." And yeah, is the most beginner friendly for anybody who has not played a game in their life to play a puzzle game that they somehow get interested on. And yeah, it's a good time waster. That's why it's best played, in my opinion. Again, if you don't like playing this on mobile or on a handheld, that's perfectly fine. But in my opinion, it's best played on handheld because it's just something to ease the wait time, the empty time that you have. Either you're on commute, you're during your lunch break. It's very, very relaxing to do, even if you are not a gamer. Anyway, next on our list that's gonna be presenting their game is Eins. Take it away.
So, very quickly before I present my game, just on the topic of Tetris and handhelds, just sharing that I was able to play Tetris multiplayer with my classmate back on the fifth grade, I think, and we were playing it on a Game Boy with the Game Link. So just a nostalgic dive back into the olden games of retro handheld multiplayer. So onto my game, I chose Portal 1 and 2. So it isn't your conventional puzzle game. It's actually a puzzle platformer, first person game developed and published by Valve. The first game was in 2007 and the second one was in 2011. Here you play as the protagonist Shell, where you try to solve
I just wanted to highlight Joe's face for a moment there. He was just going, sorry, go ahead, Miss Eileen.
I'm wondering why.
That's Sir Joe's plot pace.
Yeah.
The
There
pace
is
he
a
makes
plot.
when he sees certain plots
There
unfolding
is a
right
plot.
before his eyes.
Okay.
So Joe, there's a plot, but you have to work for it because this is a
No,
first
no, no.
person.
I mean, uh, I'm trying to recall what was the what was the game again?
Portal. Portal.
Portal 1 and
Ah,
2.
Portal.
Yes.
All right. I knew it. All right.
Go
So
ahead,
it's
Miss
a
Joe
first
Eileen.
gotta
person
love
game.
this. It has a lot of holes on it.
Portal.
Go ahead, Miss Eileen. Describe it and tell us why, what makes it special for you.
So Portal, it blew me away the first time I played it. I actually just got it on sale on Steam back in 2017. I still remember Portal 1 was 24 pesos, which is like 50 US cents in US dollars, and Portal 2 was just 37 pesos, like I would say 80 cents in US dollars. So here you play as Shell, the protagonist, and you solve puzzles in the different chambers of the Aperture Science Laboratories using that portal gun you see there. And you are guided by the AI GLaDOS, genetic life form and disk operating system. Use that gun to create an engine exit portal to get to the exit. So that sounds easy, right? But the you can only shoot at certain walls and surfaces, and you can use the gun to, sorry for the background noise. You can use the gun to draw objects to it, or the companion cube. It's not there yet, but you will see it later in the game. You can use the companion cube to solve puzzles, and there you open and uh, there like that puzzle. There you use the portal to aim the let's say fireball to one of the switches so you could move platforms. You can also combine making portals and throwing objects because later on in the game you will have enemies like turrets. You can actually playfully grab a enemy turret, put a portal on top of it, on another uh, turret and you can drop the other one and they would like short circuit and something like that. It has a unique gameplay and concept, which is actually considered one of the greatest games of all time. The puzzles gradually become challenging. I remember streaming this game, and did I think I did not use a walkthrough, and I'm proud of that during my playthrough on stream. And I would say it took me quite some time, but I eventually got. Oh, there's the companion cube. There is also a great story to this, and I will not delve into that because it's so much spoilers there, spoiler
Now, it's
territory.
well worth playing for you to discover the story. Trust me, I've
Yes.
played through both games. It's well worth it for the storyline. You wouldn't think that a puzzle game would have a good story. This one does. Trust me on that one. Go ahead, Miss Eileen.
Yes, it's one of yes, the story is amazing. It is rewarding, but once you get to the meat of the story, so don't give up in the middle. You will know when you are in the meat of it. Trust
Mhm.
us, it's a good game.
Yeah.
There's also great humor, and while it's a first-person game, for the plot, uh, if you aim uh, at the corner wall, on the right and the left, you could actually see Shell on one of the portals if you plan your portals good enough. So you can see
Mhm.
her, even though it's a first-person game, you can see her whole body. You can meet her like that. And by the way, this is the game where the iconic line is "the cake is a lie." I think it's been referenced in other media. I've actually first heard of it in Dragon Age 2 as one of Sten's lines. He just has that dialogue on his head. It says, "The cake is a lie." And I was wondering, what cake are you talking about? And when I Googled, oh, it's Portal. And this one you see is Portal 1, and Portal 2 is just an extension of the story with a new world. I would say the new world looks different, and it's akin to the contrast of Silent Hill's Foggy World and Rusty Metal World. That's all I could say. And there are other concepts, like a bouncy platform, if I remember correctly. That's the best I could describe the game for our other listeners, and for our viewers. You can see on the clips there
Up, we have a
how.
raised hand. Joe
Right,
has a
Joe.
question.
This game is not recommended for people who get dizzy really, really easy.
Yes, yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
It's
Vertigo.
bad enough that the
Oh,
camera work
vertigo
is so
suffer.
jarring.
Yeah.
Now you have the trouble with yourself with the portal gates. So I noticed that there's a blue portal and there's an orange portal.
Yes.
What are the difference?
Mhm.
It's
The
What's
actually
the
just
difference? What's the difference
actually
between
this.
the blue portal and the orange portal?
the if I may answer, the blue portal is
Like,
where
yeah,
you enter, and the orange
yeah.
Right
portal is where you would exit upon entering
there,
the
you
blue
go.
portal.
There you go.
The thing is, you can actually reverse them. Act- You can enter the exit and exit the entry port.
Yes.
Yeah.
Technically, it's just basically, door one and door two. Blue and orange
Yes.
are basically just door one and door two. And the thing about it, if I may say, Portal is very much a physics slash gravity puzzle based game. You have to factor in the physics of the things that you are going to be interacting with. You have to factor in the gravity, like which direction you're going to be going once you step out of portal number two. It's extremely challenging. It's highly rewarding. It's very much an iconic game as well. Some would say almost as iconic as Half Life was the original Half-Life first person shooter game. And this is one of those games that I can say, yeah, it very much deserves its reputation as one of the very best games of all time. Portal 1, Portal 2. Agreed. Very good choice, Miss Eileen. Anybody else want to toss in their opinions?
Yeah, and
I guess you're
also
true.
the 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 portal gun is so iconic. This actually integrated into several games like Darksiders. There's a portal gun in the Darksiders, the first game, wherein it's the puzzle on that particular portal piece is so frustrating, but at the same time it's not as difficult as the portal puzzles in the portal game itself. It's just sometimes when you integrate a certain mechanic from another game into another game for the sake of integrating it, it gets messed up because Portal is entirely built around the physics interaction of the portal gun and the gravity. So it is highly maximized in that particular setting. Wherein in Darksiders, they integrated the portal gun, but it's not really maximized to the gameplay. It was just integrated into that. Because Darksiders is a Zelda-like thing. Portal was hot back then, so they integrated the portal gun, but it didn't really feel that fluid or that intuitive when you play it with that. Anyway, Portal really, really iconic, a really head scratching game. It
Yes.
really would test also your patience if you're not patient with this. And luckily I'm one of those guys who do not really get DC, or I do not feel nauseated when playing first person shooters, first person games. And I'm really saddened that some people do actually get DC when it comes to this. But a really awesome choice from Miss Eins, and this is one of those rare puzzle centric 3D platforming games that really did so well. I know there's a lot of newer titles there, but this one I think was the first one to really get into the puzzle genre with its concept, with its mechanics. Anyway, that's my insights for Portal. Sir Joel, back to you.
Oh no, what can I say? Again, if I can toss in one of the I completely forgot this earlier. One of the factors of a puzzle game, aside from being one of the time wasters, like you guys had put forward, is the fact that if you play it and you play it well, you get into this zone. I call it the Zen zone, where if you're doing really well, you just keep doing it mechanically, almost to the point where you're not even thinking about it anymore. You are thinking, but you're not utilizing the entirety of your brain to think anymore. It's like you're utilizing, you're kind of shutting almost everything off, and then utilizing that one special part of your brain to keep going on a puzzle game. So match, twist, change, plunge, things like that. All of those things will work together to run the puzzle game. So yeah, I would say that is one factor of the puzzle game. Good choice, Miss Eileen. Excellent choice with the first choice of puzzle game, Portal 1 and Portal 2. They have to go together because the story is interconnected, and the puzzles go, I guess, incrementally harder. Shall we say, Miss Eileen? Is that would you agree with me on that one?
Yes, it becomes harder and it gets more. Are there added mechanics to it, like I said earlier, the bouncy platform? And I remember there were blobs,
Mm,
and they were,
right.
I forgot them how they worked, but there were blobs that
Mm,
help or hinder you. Oh, by the way, and just adding on to Sir Joe saying that it can make people dizzy. I
yeah.
remember there are other parts where you have to like make a really long jump, and I don't get dizzy, but it kind of made my stomach turn
Yes.
because it's really high. But it's just a game. It's in the computer, but you get that feeling. I guess that's how the brain works. It
I
tricks
guess
your brain.
in a way, that's also the immersive part of it. Of Portal, you get immersed in the game itself. I'm curious as to what Viraj has to say about this. Viraj, what's your opinion on Portal? I know it's not really in your bailiwick, but is it something that you would play?
No, no, I remember here in the United Kingdom, there was a huge advertising campaign for this particular game, Portal, and its sequel. You if you're into gaming, you would have heard of Portal, because of simply how prolific it was and how important a game it was when it came out. I haven't played it, I've seen it being played. You know, I, for me, looking at that game, I can see it has merits, but I think it's a bit too complex for me to enjoy, to be honest. I think a lot of people will enjoy it. It's just not a game that I could
To
thoroughly enjoy.
use your own words, Viraj, you're just bad at playing games. Anyway.
For me, for me,
Oh,
Like it's like what Sir Joe said in the sense that it's like what you said about columns, and that's kind of where I sort of put puzzle games, generally speaking.
Ah.
The games that I play. I mean, man, this is a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. There's better games to play than Portal that are more fun. And for me, video games have to be fun. Like puzzle games as a genre isn't really fun for me unless I really want to tax my mind or compete with someone.
Yeah.
And to get into a puzzle game, it's the simplicity, it's the accessibility of and simplicity of it. Portal, just looking at it, isn't a simple game to get into, but you can see that it has there's a lot of game in there. There's a lot that's gone into making it. So, is it a game that I'll play? No, not because it's a bad game. It's just there are other games I'd rather play than Portal.
Well, Sir Biraj, you know what they say with the meme. The reason why we upgrade our PCs, why we upgrade to the latest gaming consoles, is that so we could play our old games faster.
Yes.
Agreed. Very good. Very true. Very true. All right.
But
Drew,
that's
who are you gonna call next?
Anyway, before we proceed, I just want to add something to the thing that Sir Joel said earlier, where you get into the Zen zone, where you no longer think. It's because you are so relaxed, you are so you're getting so much brain exercise, you are getting so much satisfaction with what you are continuously doing, and it's ramping up, you get into the zone. It's actually something that really defines the puzzle genre, because you get into the zone, you are exclusively using your hand-eye coordination with your brain, and it's just a bliss because you're continually getting satisfaction with your problem solving, and it's a nice feeling. It's That's why I somewhat connected it with getting off earlier, because it's something similar to that. It's a braingasm, if you might call it that.
I'll allow it.
Anyway,
I'll allow it. Okay.
and since Sir Joel allowed that, please, Sir Joel, would you share with us with your what your game selection, your first game selection for the puzzle genre is?
All right, fine. I completely forgot though. Before anything else, I do want to say I apologize for the fact that I I I said that I forgot that I didn't have anything show and tell for this week. I forgot that I'd gone to my local retro game store 2 weeks ago, and this stuff was sitting in the trunk of my car for 2 weeks. I completely forgot about it. When Drew pulled out his stuff, I remember. Oh yeah, I went to the retro game store. Okay, this is something that Viraj might enjoy because of shameless plug, Bygone Games, Viraj Kathwadia. You might want to check out his store. I went there and I got a couple of PSP games. One of them is Rapala. Let's see, Rapala Pro Fishing for the PSP. Very loose
Where's
cards.
the box?
Sorry, what?
Where's the box? The game's
No box. I don't care about the box, Viraj. Sorry.
Right.
I know it's heresy to you, but that's me. So very loose, and besides, people don't keep boxes for fishing games on the PSP. Anyway.
The reason I would say that is because the UMD, if you look at it, there's a bit of that disc that's exposed.
Agreed. Yeah, it's open at the back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I think that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's no excuse for UMD or games that had clamshell cases.
Yeah.
Game, you got a place for it. With cardboard games, I get it. I get it. But with UMD, with the clamshell cases, it sickens me. It makes me sad.
Agreed. Well, in this case, I guess they got traded in at this state. So sad to say, they were only available in this manner. I went for it anyway because I love fishing games. First is Rapala Pro Bass Fishing 2010 for the PSP. Next is Rapala Trophies for PSP. Both of them are really cheap, $8.99 and $5.99 respectively. And the next one, you'll be a little bit happier on this one, Viraj. It's Brooktown High for the PSP. It's kind of like a Sims type of game.
PSP. I like the cases for them. They're so skinny.
Yeah, there you go. $7.99 for this one. $7.99. Brooktown High. It's basically the Sims, except you're character is going to high
There's
school.
a
Next
manual. There's a
is
manual in the box. Show me the inside. I want to see the manual.
the inside. Okay, no problem. I'm opening it up for Viraj Kathwadia right here. So
Look at that
Brooklyn
manual. Look
High.
at that. Chef's kiss, man. And look at the inside inlay in there. You've got some art inside the box as well with that. You know, ladies and gentlemen, look after your boxes. Look after your games. Don't leave it like that. Look how beautiful that is. Like, as a collector, wouldn't you like that? And you've got a manual that tells you about the game. If you get stuck, you're like, what do I do? Now, you play a fishing game that's quite complex. You want to have a manual.
That's true. Manuals in game boxes, a lost art or a dying art. Depends on how you think about it.
These days, there is no manual. You have to get online. But
All
if you
right.
get old games, try and get the manuals, dudes.
Next is The Sims 2 for the PSP. All right, for Viraj's sake, opening up the PSP box as well.
Look at that
There
ugly
you go.
ASP rating on it. Ugly ASP rating. But other than that, it's good.
I said in the previous episode, I chose Sims 2 as my horror game of the episode because of the fact that this one is set in a setting in The Sims called Stranger Town, and lots of strange, weird, unusual things happen there, and your sim tends to be involved in them. So very quickly, for a call back to one of our previous episodes, Jeff Unio, I got Midnight Club Los Angeles Complete Edition for because of our episode. I enjoyed that one. Okay, Viraj, just for you, owner's manual right there.
Red case, red case.
Red case, I know. I don't care. If it's red case, as long as it plays, I'm good. And a couple of things for the Xbox One. A lot of people bagged on this one, but I kind of enjoyed them. Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War. They kind of the Tolkien fans really didn't like the games because they played around fast and loose with the Tolkien lore. But they
awesome game.
It's
awesome. Awesome fun game.
I played them. I played them. They're a lot of fun, but the hardcore Tolkien fans were not very thrilled with them because they played around with them, kind of like the game version of Rings of Power by Amazon. But the difference is this one is much more fun. And the last piece that I'm kind of proud of is the fishing controller for the PlayStation 1 and 2. So
very nice. I like it. I want to see it. I want to see this thing.
Very good. I like the fact that it's in really good condition too. And I look forward to playing all my bass fishing games on this one in the future. Sorry, you were saying, Viraj.
No, it's beautiful. I like different peripherals, and that's a new peripheral you have. And I think that a lot of people go on about the software, the consoles, but half of it is how you interact with the game. And I love the fact that you have your own fishing rod. I remember Sega Bass Fishing for Dreamcast, and it had its own controller, and that set the trend. And this is obviously the PlayStation version. So
Absolutely.
And there's so many ways you can interact with games. You've got light guns, you've got sticks. I love seeing these little analog little devices. I think it's cool, man.
That's true. That's true. All right, so sorry, that was my little show and tell for this week. I completely forgot that I went to my local retro game store and I got those things that have been sitting around in the trunk of my car for the past 2 weeks. Just don't tell the missus. Anyway, so my puzzle game of my first puzzle game of the episode is a game called Joe. If you can show it for the audience, thank you very much. It's called Puzzle Quest: Challenge of the Warlords. Now, this is a match 3 game that if in my personal opinion really brought together the best of both worlds, because we all know match 3 games as Bejeweled clones. So people who are familiar with Bejeweled, you match 3 jewels either vertically or horizontally. They disappear at minimum 3 and minimum 3 colored gems, and then they disappear. Slowly you start putting them together and until such time that you can't move anymore, and then you lose the board. In this case, Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords is a good combination of match 3 and RPG, turn-based RPG, turn-based role-playing game. Visualize this. It's a match 3 puzzle game, but every time you clear out 3 or more of a particular color of gem, you add to a pool of mana. So there's green mana, there's red mana, there's blue mana, there's yellow mana, and there's special icons like skulls that if you put them three in a row or vertically or horizontally, then they cause damage to your opponent. The two of you take turns with lining up gems and gathering mana and or causing damage to your opponent. Now the thing about it is you move through the board of the game and get into fights and get into missions, lining up all these gems, putting in all of these damage points. And when you line and gather enough of a particular color of gem, like there's six of a red gem and one of a yellow gem, then you can execute a special move like a battle cry or a special magic spell that causes damage to your opponent. Your point is that you want to whittle down your opponent's hit points to zero so that you are taking turns each one gathering as much of the colors as you can as fast as you can to cause enough damage to your opponent to beat him. So this game came out on PC. This game came out on PSP. Game came out on DS. It got popular for a little while, and honestly, I still play it to this very day. It is a great turn-based role-playing game with the mechanics of a match three puzzle game, and the storyline is no slouch either. It's set in one of the game worlds that I used to play in called Warlords Battle Cry. This has the same game world also. And for those of you who are watching in the visual part of our podcast, you can see the gameplay. It's not very exciting visually. There's not a lot happening, but when you play it, when you get into it, when the mechanics click in your head on how you're supposed to line up these colors and these skulls together so that you can cause damage to your opponent, it is bliss. Honestly, you get into the point. There's just one caveat that I can say about Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords. The AI is a bitch. It cheats like crazy. It's like, there are moments when you are doing well, and then it pulls out moves like, what the hell? Where is he getting those five in a row from? So the opponent is going to cheat its way out of almost every turn. And it gets frustrating at points, but I guess that is part of the charm of this particular puzzle game. You know that your opponent is going to cheat. You know he's going to pull out an ass move somewhere in the middle. So you have to prepare for that somewhere down the line. It's a very strong combination of tactics, skill, and luck. So Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords is a highly recommended puzzle game for me. A combination of match 3 and RPG game that to this day is worth playing. Honestly, if you have a PSP, go find it, go get it, go play it. If you have a PC, it's still worth it. A DS, find it, well worth it. So that is my first game of the puzzle game episode. Any thoughts? Anybody?
I actually have never played Puzzle Quest, but I was gonna talk about a particular game. It is actually an updated version of Puzzle Quest. It's
Mm,
not affiliated with Puzzle Quest, but this particular game strongly resembles Puzzle Quest in every other way. And if you
mm,
don't have access to the PSP, this game that I'm gonna be talking about is actually very accessible. It's free. It's on the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PC, you name it. It's out there. The game's name is Gems of War. So the only slight difference that this particular game has with Puzzle Quest is in this it has a little bit of deck building on it wherein you have four characters or rather four cards that has their own mana pool on there wherein you charge them up by the same mechanics as Puzzle Quest. And when you charge them up, they would either be able to do a defensive or an offensive skill that would damage or whittle down the hit points of your enemy team. So if you guys are enamored by Puzzle Quest and you don't have a PlayStation Portable accessibility at the moment, do check out Gems of War. Plays very similarly, has more updated graphics, same fun as you would have with Puzzle Quest, in my opinion, based on what I saw. I haven't played Puzzle Quest, played a lot of Gems of War. Just it's just one of those times where you find yourself playing a puzzle game and you don't know why you're playing a puzzle game, but you're having a grand time with the puzzle quest. Anyway, that's my insight in regards to puzzle quest. Any other has any other insights with Sir Joel's pick for the evening?
Well, for me, I would say I think the game is appealing because, like I mentioned earlier, there were games that had two-player game, two-player. Well, you could play two players in most puzzle games, and this one looks very challenging and appealing. There is an element of excitement when you have to battle somebody, even if it's just AI. And I like the panels because it gives an RPG feel. I'm looking at. I already put Puzzle Quest on my Steam wish list, and I like the design of the panels. It really looks like a classic RPG, and it's fun creating those what do you call this? The attacks when you form the mana, different mana pools, and make the proper combinations to attack your opponent. Because, like I said earlier, I like the Ranma game, and it's like an older type of this puzzle where you earn power ups to attack your enemy. So it just sounds fun in general. I would play this one when it's on sale because I can't afford it yet.
It's actually quite cheap on the Nintendo DS. I just looked at the prices for the Puzzle Quest and Puzzle Quest 2. It's like £10 for on the Nintendo DS, and the sequel is £15.
£10 is relatively expensive here,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
agreed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll send it to you by PayPal.
For a puzzle game.
Yeah.
For a puzzle game that's gonna be that's a steep price for somebody to be enticed to buy and try, especially since puzzle games are free, technically free on most accessible platforms, on most recent accessibility options, iOS, Google Play Store, Steam, wherever you choose
Yeah,
to
it does
look
have
for
that.
it.
It does have that Android look to it. It does look like a game you could
Yeah.
play on your mobile phone. So I think maybe it might be cheaper on the mobile phone. This is obviously a physical cartridge that says Nintendo on the box with it has a manual though. It has a manual. All right, the manual is very important. It looks like a very complex game to play. Let's not knock it. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers there, and they scared me. I know you're an accountant, Sir Joel, but
Yeah.
come on. We look at them numbers. We're like,
Oh,
what's all
I mean,
Anybody.
one of the genres that I'd like to tackle sometime in the future here in the Timeless Gamer Show is economic simulators, or yeah, we already did city builders, so economic sims. We'll talk about that in the future.
and,
Yeah,
and nobody's going to tune into that episode because it's boring. But no, I'm kidding. I think, look, it's for me personally. What do I think of that game? It's too complex for my puny mind. That's the truth. Or I haven't got the patience for a game like that. It's a game you'd have to have patience to learn and get into and whatever. But it does sound like something that you'd really be, because it's so complex. It's a game that you'd be totally immersed in. So I think that pull on that, isn't it? It's like, oh right, I want to win, and you're invested because what's he say? It's an RPG. It's like a story. So you're invested in seeing it through. Is it a game that I'll play? No, because Sonic the Hedgehog is more fun.
Okay. Yeah. That's a perfectly valid opinion. Absolutely.
That's because there's so many other games out there. And I think puzzle games for me, this is just me generally speaking. It has to be a game that I can easily get into and just kill time with, and that's what puzzle games function is for me.
Okay.
And they've become quite complex now. And unless you like problem solving, and you have a keen mind for that sort of thing, like Sudoku puzzles and things like that, like my father would love this game. This is definitely.
I think your dad might. I think your dad might really like it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'd like that game, but I don't. I can see it's a quality game because it has there's a lot that's gone into it. It's unfortunate that the AI is unfairly pitting against you, saying it's cheating or whatever.
I guess it's by design. I think it's by design because once you get too comfortable with it, once you find it too easy, you start to lose interest. Whereas if you start to build emotional animosity against an AI, you want to beat it. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think to be fair though, there's a lot of puzzle games where the AI is so hard. Where you get later on, they make it really hard. And obviously, I'll touch on those when I obviously cover the games that I want to talk about later on. But
before we get to yours, I want to hear what Joe's opinion on it because he's the RPG guy. What do you think, Joe, of my choice?
It's rather similar to the puzzle game that I'm playing, Puzzle and Dragons.
Yes.
Puzzle game. It's a match 3 puzzle game with RPG elements. And actually, when preparing for this show, that's one of the things that I looked for: a puzzle game with RPG elements. I mean, why? It's like I just wanted something more out of a puzzle game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not too simple, but not too complex either. At least give me something just to break away from the monotony of matching 3 colors, bringing that all of the completing all of the bricks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least with by putting in RPG elements in there, at least you're adding more rules to it. You're adding more flavor into it. You're adding more gameplay into it rather than what it already is. So
in Joe's case, it's not just the plain old streetwalker that he's looking for. He's looking for a geisha. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's his comparison. Puzzle and Dragons. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, back to you, Drew.
Yeah, and thank you for that wonderful suggestion, Sir Joel. And I really did enjoy Gems of War, the counterpart that I was talking about. And match 3, yes, it's simple, it's addicting, but as Sir Joe has been thoroughly trying to explain, is at the end of the day, each and every one of these games, well, we do enjoy them individually, we do suggest them for you to try and take a look at them. One thing still remains true with every other game is that not all of these games are for everyone. So, in case you're not into the match 3 subgenre, puzzle games, yay, it's perfectly fine, and where nobody's gonna take offense because at the end of the day, it's your enjoyment and your time. So, perfectly fine. So. Yeah, and we're gonna proceed now with Sergio speak, and I think he may or may not be still talking about puzzles and dragons. Maybe he's gonna be talking about puzzle elements of a game that's not really a puzzle game. Anyway, Sergio, take
I
it
know.
away.
Before we do that, let's
Mhm.
do a quick ad break from Streamyard and
Yeah.
BitMap because they're the ones paying the lights for this show. Let's go on ahead. Start your own online live streams, webinars, podcasts, online classes, and virtual presentations with Streamyard. By using Streamyard's user-friendly interface, you can also do simultaneous multi-streaming if you have accounts to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and other platforms. If live streaming is not your style, video and audio recordings are also available, especially with those who have variable and inconsistent internet connections. The finished output will still come out as clear and well articulated exactly as you originally intended. You can also customize the appearance of your presentation, like green screen effects, facial touch-ups to smoothen out those facial blemishes, multiple cameras for multiple guests joining in the discussion, your own wallpaper on the background, adding your own logo as a watermark, sharing videos from your own computer or other website for added visual aids with or without audio, uploading your own background music if you wish to set the mood when talking, and lots more. Before you can enjoy all of the wonderful full features of StreamYard, you can start with a 14-day free trial by using our link. Not only that you are supporting the Timeless Gamer Show, but you can see it for yourself how easy it is using StreamYard. Do you like playing video games? Do you like reading about history? Do you like learning about video game history? then you should give yourself the gift of owning some video game history books from BitMap. Since 2014, BitMap Books have published numerous colorful and well-detailed hardbound books about video games ranging from the different video game consoles of old and the various video game genres that will surely pique the interest of its core fanbase. BitMap's team of global video game journalists, players, and illustrators have produced numerous award-winning titles that celebrate the software, hardware, and developers that laid down the foundations for the billion-dollar video game industry we all know and love today. International shipping is also available with careful and considerate packaging from BitMap Books. If you don't want to take my word for it, then you can believe the people, almost 10,000 satisfied customers who submitted their glowing written reviews and video reviews after receiving their books from BitMap. By ordering your first BitMap book using our link, you will also be supporting the Timeless Gamers Show in spreading our love of video games and their rich history. All right, thank you for that, Streamyard and BitMap.
Mhm.
I too have some thing for show and tell. Might as well. Just a quick one. This one, I got two actually, and I got these during the Amazon Prime Day sale. And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? I mean, if they're the only ones that are left, I got Loop 8 Collector's Edition for the Nintendo Switch.
Very nice.
Loop 8 Summer of Gods Celestial Edition right
What makes
here.
it collectible?
Still in
What else do you
plastic.
get in it? What else do you get inside other than the game? What else is in the box?
Yeah, well, later on, later. And
Yeah.
then I got another one here. I got Silent Hope, Day One Edition, another collector's edition. So both in boxes right here. Both NTSC US, still in plastic. And
Viraj
for
is asking, does
yeah.
it contain stuff like soundtracks and art books and things like that?
Um for Loop 8, you got the soundtrack, yes. You got some postcards, a an art book, and a poster.
Very
Nice.
nice.
And for Silent Hope, you got the art book and the soundtrack only.
Mm.
Very nice.
And I think they only went for like $40 each.
Oh, that's really good price.
Mm.
Yeah, for collector's edition,
No, because
that's
no
really
one's buying them for some reason. So, Loop 8 turn-based JRPG, Silent Hope action JRPG right here. And for the sake of Sir Viraj, I will not going to open these boxes.
I know. Look, if it's sealed, don't open them. But obviously, like we know, we've got well, actually, Switch games don't come with manuals now, do they? It's just a cartridge. But you've got an art book. You got all the paraphernalia. I think if you're going to go for video games, and you're going to collect. It's always good and wise to get a special edition because they hold their value. Like, Zelda games, thousands to a penny. But if you get the special editions, no, a collector will want to buy them later on, and they'll hold their value. In fact, they might even go up more than what they're worth, and they have.
Heck, a lot of Switch games recently just come with a cartridge inside of the box.
Yeah.
It's really disappointing. And I even got fooled one time by buying a Switch game, and it turns out it was just a code in a box. I was really furious with that.
Yeah,
But you-
and
Bad.
by the way, I also got that for around less than $40 on my end for Loop 8, and a Silent Hope is actually titled different here in Japan. It's called Frederica for some odd reason. I don't know why they chose to go with that one. So it's something like the old school ice game, ish game. I don't really
okay.
know. So the adult games, that's much more
The adult
easier.
games or adult, yeah.
Yeah, that's something like the adult games, but
Big
as
doggy.
I said, it's titled Frederica here, so female protagonist maybe.
Getting back to
I
Joe
know.
though, let's hear his first choice.
right.
Puzzle game.
So we already mentioned about the brick games. We already mentioned about the match 3 games, and all of the and throughout the years there there's a lot of variant puzzle games that revolve all on those. Uh, for me, growing up, when we say puzzle, I always think about the jigsaw puzzle, and I'm not even. And it's only until I reach adulthood that it's just a variant of a puzzle. It's just it's a type of puzzle. Because when we say before because before when I was a kid, when people say it's a puzzle, it's the jigsaw ones. No, so no, a jigsaw is just a variant of a puzzle. Okay, there are lots of puzzles like these gentlemen mentioned earlier, and so for this one, I chose something more distinguished. Okay, something for people who are really critical thinkers. Okay, really careful on their choices, and my choice is Gal's Panic for the thinking man. All right. So, all right, a little
I
bit of
knew
a
that would
background.
I knew that would
I
go
knew it
either
would be
way when Joe
sometimes.
is setting it up like that. I knew it would go either way.
Somebody
All
that's
right.
for me.
That's why I was trying to hold my laugh when Sir Joe is trying to
I was thinking
visually
it could
prepare
go
us for
it can go
something
either
wholesome.
way, the way that Joe's describing
Because
it.
because people will just chastise us if we're not going to mention this game anyway. All right. So
Go
I'm just
ahead,
giving the
Joe.
people
Go
what they
ahead.
want. All right. Okay. So, what is Gal's Panic? In the very least, it's a silhouette game. Okay. So what are the rules? So the rules. Well, the objective is to you're playing as this pointer or a cursor rather. It's to uncover the silhouette portion of a background. In this case, Gal's Panic. It's a girl. All right. Um, and you need to uncover at least 80% of the silhouette. So you need to uncover that
Oh,
by avoiding some challenges, avoiding some enemies, some obstacles, of course, until you're able to capture at least 80% of the image.
And
Oh, look at that.
for those of you who are in the audio portion, you're losing out. Anyway, continue.
Nice. Okay. And with Girls Panic, of course, um, this is it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence that the image just went there. Okay, I did not put it. I did not put the video to stop right there. Okay, uh, so you start. So at the beginning of the game, so you got six. So I'm talking about the original Girls Panic here in the arcade. So you're gonna choose like I think six girls. Okay, so they start off as so they're fully clothed at first. Okay, and then if you manage to get through the first stage, the second stage of it, they will be on their bra and panties. Yes. Okay, that's the second stage. The third stage, getting a little bit harder. It's getting harder now. Actually, talking about it. Um,
I
on
can
the
see
third
our
stage,
viewership numbers going up in real time right now. Okay.
oh, look at that, a double digits now. Ha, double D. Okay, so on the third stage of the game of the girl stage anyway, um, at least they're gonna be there. At least expect some full frontal. Okay, pixelated full frontal, right?
Hey, pixelated
So
is better than nothing. Okay.
better than nothing, yeah. And I'm like, so a little bit of a background here. And when I first saw Gal's Panic, it was I think was 1998.
Oh my
Okay, in one of our
gosh, people
arcades,
are filtering in on our chats
one
now.
of our
Okay.
arcades here, one of our arcades in Grand Central, yeah. And I'm like, why is this game here? Like front center. I mean, and kids are everywhere, right? And
Keep the
and
video on, Joe. People like it. Keep the video
and,
on.
and I'm like, people are well, people of course the adults are playing this one. The adults are playing this game, and kids are running around, and me. Well, I was a kid. I was one of those dumb kids who were watching the adults play this, and I'm like, so if the objective here is just to uncover the girl, then why not just do that from the very beginning? Like if I was playing this game, then I'm the cursor. Then I will just go straight ahead and just draw out the girl.
Mm.
And when I played it for the first time, and mind you, I was only 12 years old when I played this game. It wasn't that simple
It's hard.
because there's always constant there are always some the enemies are constantly moving at you, and the moment
Touch you.
that they touch you, it's game over. And this is the arcade, y'all. Okay. um
It's designed to munch your quarters. Yeah.
and I am not going to waste my money just to just to look at pixelated porn. Who am I kidding? Yes, I would.
Yes. I
Okay,
was
would
gonna say.
Yeah, you
would.
would.
Yeah, I would. Okay, but in the private, uh, but I would do it privately. Okay, I'm not gonna play this game publicly. I mean, then again, I'm like, why is this game here? It begs the question.
You know why?
Why is this game here? And uh, and and Gal's Panic was the only arcade cabinet on that floor, because I always remember you got other arcade machines. There's always like two, like Mortal Kombat. I remember because we got Mortal Kombat. There's always like two arcade there. We got Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. There's always two cabinets there. Aliens Verters, two cabinets there, three cabinets there, because there's a lot of demand for it. There's a lot of demand for those games. Gals Panic is one of those games that there's only one cabinet for Gals Panic. And it's just there, like unapologetically. I don't care. I'm here. I don't care if anyone if adults or kids play this. I mean, there's no regulation. I mean, even the arcade staff, they don't even chastise the kids who are playing this game, trying their luck, trying to undress the girls. But no, go on ahead. It's your money. It's your money, kid. Okay. Then again, there it is. Very rewarding to say the least. Okay. For the kids who cannot really afford, who don't have any access to Playboys, to jugs,
Boom
Tiger
shakalaka. There
Beat.
you go. Okay.
Okay, this is the next best thing. All right, it just
Is it?
requires a lot of joystick maneuvering, and you need to move your controller too when playing this game.
Very demanding
Sir Brad
game.
just checking his head because that joke is lazy.
No, it's not. It's on point, honestly, if you ask
I
me.
mean, there's a lot of. I mean, to be honest, this isn't. I remember when I was modding my SNES Classic Mini, and I was adding the Famicom Disk System portion of the build, and there are so many pervy games on that are similar to this in terms of drawn art. Some of them were like mahjong games. So when you get a certain score, like you'd see, an image of pixelated art of a nude woman or whatever. And there's a lot of them, not just mahjong games, but also like puzzlers as well, similar to this sort of thing.
Yeah, mahjong games, true. Yeah, I remember
This
those.
is not true. I mean, this is nothing new, to be honest, and I'm not surprised that something like this exists. But like,
Hey, some people would say strip. It goes all the way to strip poker on DOS. If you want to think about it that far, yeah.
but sex sells, and people,
Or Custer's Revenge.
yeah, people want to see some naked pixelated women as an incentive to really go through getting that picture done, and so I can understand the incentive for the game. I personally don't think they're well drawn or real enough, and I couldn't care less, to be honest. Now because I've been spoilt by, I think if this is a total side note, but I think everyone in this chat will agree with me that pornography is everywhere now. You don't even have to go on a porn site. We're so desensitized. Well, it's in our television and all sorts of stuff. But back in those days where things were censored, obviously that was arousing for someone to look at, for something to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We have pornography in our face all the time, sadly, because it does desensitize us. And I think sexualization and openness about sex has gone too far. Personally, I don't know about you guys. Obviously, so Joe's living in heaven right now. But but I do think
No.
there are certain limits, and obviously this belongs in the past, and it very much is in the past because of sexualization and how open it has all become. But is it a game I'd play? No, because there's better things than that.
Yeah, you
Anyway.
would.
Somebody here in the chats, Jomar of Jom and 10, laid it out perfectly well. The psychology of this. The funny thing is, when you see this in an arcade, you want to play it, but you feel ashamed. The
Yeah.
funny part is, it's not just you. And you see a bunch of guys standing around in front of it with the same idea. Everybody wants to try it. Everybody is just too scared to or too ashamed to go up
They're
and
like, you
try
dirty
it. So,
pervert, man. What's going on, man?
That's
They're worried
the
about the
most
No,
Why is
no,
it-
on-point
no, no,
definition
no.
of
He's
this.
right because it's not just guys in the arcade center. There are also
Mm.
girls in there,
yeah, absolutely.
and
Hmm.
and they will just give you the evil eye if somebody
I'll
just
be like,
sit
Although-
there and play
Yeah,
Gauss Panic.
if you tried chatting me up and putting more effort into me, you get to see real this rather than bloody this video game
Although-
crap.
Although, Joe, I think you'll enjoy the Sega Saturn version more because the Sega Saturn has anime girls. I think,
Yes.
if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
No, that's true because the testament about the Gauss Panic series,
Mhm.
even throughout the to the late '80s when it was first conceived, all the way till now, they're still making Gauss Panic, and I'm like, and with our culture right now, with the cancel culture right now, you would think this game would have been censored like a whole long time ago, right? But no, it's still thriving. So despite the sexual and the pornographic desensitization
Mhm.
of the human condition, we still like
The
looking at
human
static
condition. We're getting
naked
into
images of
philosophy
girls.
here now, Drew. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I
So we
love
st-
the
so
way.
yeah, I mean, despite all that, we still like looking at the female form and its glory.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now to take off a little bit, the game is based on the mechanics of an old arcade game called Kix or QIX.
UIX.
If you guys want to play that game is also a banger. It's a really good one. But I want to hear
Ha,
the
bang her.
female. Yeah, I was fine. I want to hear I want to hear the female perspective on this. Miss Eileen, what do you think about Jaw's choice of game?
Boys panic.
Eh, I mean,
Boys panic.
How come there's no boys panic, Miss Eileen? You need to draw the silhouette of the
Go ahead.
dong.
What's your opinion?
I was
There's an
gonna
incubus. There should be an incubus.
I was gonna throw a joke. Is there a guy's panic?
Guys panic. I think there is.
How
I
about
think there might be some
speaking of
anecdotes.
the
Can you imagine if there's a boys panic
No.
inside the arcade center?
I think there is a Choaniki version. Anyway, continue, Miss Eileen. What's your personal opinion on Joe's choice?
I would say I like the puzzle element of just ignoring the plot. The plot there. I like the puzzle element
Ignore the
because I
plot.
think I've something similar like that before, that type of gameplay. I'm not sure what game it was, but I like how you try to, I'm not sure how you term
Yeah,
that, but
uncover the
you try
shaded
to
portions
move
of
boxes.
the screen. Yeah, it's
Yes,
based on the arcade
not
game
really-
Kix, Miss Eileen. Go ahead.
I forgot it's not Quicks that I've played something else, but I remember the gameplay and I like this type of gameplay where you have to make those boxes and reveal the background, and the challenge is avoiding all the moving parts all around the screen, and not
Nice.
really this exact same game, but it reminds me of Ball from Windows 3.1 because
Okay,
you also
okay,
have to obliterate boxes and spaces just to and while avoiding those moving spheres and whatnot. So I like the gameplay, and I'll just ignore the the plot there. I'll leave that
No,
for the guys.
no, don't ignore the plot. The
Don't
whole plot's
ignore
the
the
whole
plot.
point of the that's the whole point.
I think,
It's your
It's a family,
motivation.
it's a family show, guys. A family show. To a gentleman's game, right there.
Fine, fine, fine.
No, no. I
And
mean,
well,
seriously. To Miss I's point, and I'm not sure about you guys in on your arcade centers. If you manage to unravel the third stage of a girl, you are considered as a hero. All right. Back in those days, you were considered as a hero if you managed to unravel all the silhouette. We'll give you a freaking medal.
And speaking, while we're on that portion of the topic, we'll just welcome JDM Juan de Marcos back into the show. JDM, thanks
Sir
for joining us.
JDM.
And it's
Hi.
it's the perfect moment to ask JDM, what do you think of our local, local, um, you know, shall we say, man of culture choice in terms of puzzle game? JDM opinion.
I'm not surprised with the selection coming from Sergio. And to be honest, I haven't heard of this game
Bullshit.
until yeah, really. Uh, yeah, I haven't heard of this game until later than 2021 when people from this old gaming community that there was a puzzle
Mm.
game about these girls being stripped.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, to be honest, because uh, back then I grew up in a uh, this elementary school full of nuns, and I'm not
Nuns
really
panic.
nuns.
Nuns panic, guys. Make it happen.
You went to a very strict school then, JDM.
Yes,
I think I
and
saw. I think I saw a tube video of something like that. Anyway, continue, JDM.
yeah, and it's really like so when I heard about this game, I just realized that where have been where have I been all of these years not learning about this game. And because whenever I see streamers, especially back in during the pandemic days, they would start asking, "Have you played Gulf Panic or something like that?" Then uh, I didn't know that it was this risque game about um, women, naked women being stripped down by a block or something. And then uh, I got really interested. Then I tried to search it. Then I was like, "This, oh, what is this game? I just heard of this." And I didn't see this in the arcades. I've seen games like Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, but
Mm.
I didn't know there was a game like this. I didn't see it back in the day. So it's really a surprise to me when I saw this game.
Okay. All right. So that was Joe's choice. Gals Panic on multiple platforms: the arcade, Sega Saturn, PC, anywhere that you can play a joystick on and with. Back to you, Drew.
Ah,
Thank you
use
for
your joystick
that.
for multiple plays.
Mhm.
Multiple.
That's such a nice way to motivate each and every gamer guy or whatever your preference is anyway. And we do feel the girls that needs a guy's panic, make it happen. Make it happen, make it equal opportunity.
Again, I believe in my heart of hearts that somewhere out there is a Cho Aniki Gals Panic version. Somewhere out there.
And
Oh,
I was watching a bunch of retro hunters here, and they were really looking for this Cho Aniki, and I'm too afraid to actually research what that is.
You're too afraid.
I'm too afraid to be able to learn what that game is because they were showing the screen and it looks so much like hentai coming, and I'm like, this might be something that I don't want to go into.
It's that
Literally,
it's that moment in Lion King when Simba asks that father, what is that dark portion over there in the kingdom? That is where you do not go.
It's
yeah,
called the dark web.
my
Simba.
mic just went down after saying that, and it got impotent for no reason suddenly.
Mm-mm.
So
Anyway, thank you so
don't
much for that game recommendation, Sergio. And it fits a man of culture, a man of your stature, a man of your taste so well. And we're gonna go ahead and hear from Sir JDM's pick again. Sir JDM, thank you so much for you to be able to join us in this very puzzling episode. Sir JDM, take it away with your choice.
Yes, thank you for having me. And just to quote Sir Joe Menten, he said when JDM first heard about this game, he said, I came and I conquered." You know, let me just
I
rephrase
came,
that
I saw, I
line
got.
using
All right. Anyway,
yeah, from uh who said that line
Julius
from
Caesar.
Valvinus.
Yeah,
from
Julius Caesar, Veni
Valvinis. Yeah,
Vidi Vici. Okay.
yeah originally that's
Julius
I
Caesar.
yeah, but I heard from this wrestler Valvinis. He said, I came, I saw, and I came again."
Oh my
Nice.
goodness. Okay, fine. JDM, your choice of puzzle game.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So moving forward, for me, puzzle game, it's going to be this Hoyle. I'm not sure Hoily or Hoyle. It's
It's
a
Hoyle.
collection. It's
Hoyle,
a
yes.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's a series of board game, actually board game than puzzle game. But eventually, after a few years, it incorporated puzzle games as well, like Mastermind. If I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mastermind, the color memory game, or and then you
What again?
also have yeah. It's but I'm speaking about the
Which platform are
Hoyle.
you speaking of,
Hoyle.
JDM?
It's the let me see.
Was it the
If
PC
this
one, if I remember?
Yeah, it's a PC.
Yeah.
Hoyle
Hoyle's
Puzzle and
Puzzle
Board
and Board
Games
Games. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
from
That was a good one.
2004.
Mhm.
And it already because back then it was just these casino games like poker, mahjong, and all of those like solitaire games, card games. Then later through its later through the years, they already incorporated puzzle games like Mastermind, battleships. They have battleships. Um, you also have crosswords, anagrams, uh, all of those puzzle games. I think they all also have like a hangman sort of game, but it's more on board games actually. In puzzle games they also have word games.
So it's a
And
compilation. Is a compilation of puzzle
yeah,
games in one game, basically. So it's a compilation of puzzle games. So if you get bored with one puzzle game, you can go play another puzzle game.
Mhm.
yes,
Or
and
another
you
puzzle.
also earn points by playing with um, AI or computer generated characters. And you
Okay.
could also design your avatar in the game. You can play as this generic uh, John Doe face, then also have this pirate with a parrot in his shoulder. So you can select, you can also customize your avatar. And one of my favorite games is Mastermind. I- It's a puzzle game where you try to solve no, you try to guess what the color scheme of your opponent by using it's like a memory game where you use colors when you try to guess what the pattern is of your opponent. So yeah, it's a compilation from 1989 up until 2016. Then after that, this entity called Encore Games tried to take over and make continue these games. So up until 2007, the original was from 1989 up until 2016. So it's a fun game, especially you can play over the network. And even back in even back in Windows 3.1, you can play through online if you know your how to set up your LAN or
Yeah.
network.
All right. Thank you for showing us this. I mean, it's a compilation of puzzle games, isn't it, JDM? Really, and I suppose it's cheap and you'll never get bored, right? It reminds me of 42 All Times Classic on Nintendo DS. It's called Parlor Games
Hmm.
for in the United States version. So, I mean, obviously there's a different it's a compilation packet with different sort of puzzle games and games like chess and things like that in there. So it's a mixture of games in there. But yeah, I mean, like the thing with Ludo is it's something that I wouldn't play ever again because I'm not 6 years old anymore, and you know, there's a lot of games in here that just don't appeal to me really, to be honest. But I can understand that like it's a simple, easy to play game with friends if you're there. But yeah, I can see its merits, but it's not something I'll bother playing, to be honest, because it's kind of dated for me, I think. But anyway.
And also one thing that I like in this game, especially the Hoyle's puzzle and board games, is you have these AI characters who banter with each other when they try to, especially if they outsmarted you, they throw these banters towards you or the other
Mm.
players. And I like the presentation that they have, and the avatars are also animated. So they blink, um, they have movement, so it's not boring to watch. It it's been in the Windows 3.1, but the animations are not included yet until they get to Windows 95 or 98, something like that, where you
Mm.
have the full color. And I really like the presentation, so it's not boring or something. It's like playing with your real life friends, actually.
All right. Cool.
All right, good choice, JDM. Hoyle's puzzle and board games. I personally enjoyed it. I mean, Viraj might contest that some of the games are a little too simple or dated. Well, sometimes you just want to play some simple and dated games. What can I say? You know, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody, it's a good introduction to puzzle and board games. Also, for young players, for old players, for people who just want to do something simple. All right, good choice, JDM. Back to you, Drew.
Mm.
And that's something. That's an awesome choice. And since it's a collection, you would be able to test out what certain puzzle elements clicks with you. So as what we have been trying
Yes.
here with the Timeless Gamer Show is we're trying to showcase certain games in hopes that you might be able to find a game that clicks with you that you would be able to enjoy. And I do think that most of our viewers and listeners would really enjoy Gal's Panic, by the way. It's such a very
Oh,
visually,
bloody hell. Game
yeah,
shit.
we just need to keep going back to it.
Game,
It's
right? You know
something that you just
game.
you
I'm not
have to.
gonna play. It's shit. All right, I'll say it. I'm saying what everyone wants to say. It's a shit game. All you like is the tits. That's the reason you want to play this game. That's the only
How
reason.
dare you?
No.
How
Kick,
dare
Oh,
you?
Kicks mechanics are still top notch. The QIX kicks
play
mechanics are
Quicks
still
and don't
top
play
notch.
this piece of shit. Play Quicks. Why you just say
Yeah,
Quicks?
exactly.
Go
It's
Yeah, but then
much
again,
more
you
visually
don't get the
appealing with
extra.
Quicks.
You
shit
don't get
game.
the extra tits, right?
Yeah, it's like
Who gives a shit,
it's
man?
a
There's so many
PS5
games like this.
Pro.
The tits are
It's a
poorly drawn
PS5 Pro.
anyway.
You're getting more
Yes,
You're
So
If we, hey,
expecting
exactly.
more.
if we want to see naked tits and ass, there are websites to go to
Yeah,
without
but
exactly.
going
you
to the
work for
trouble of
it. You
playing it.
work for
Okay,
the kits
I mean,
in
Yeah.
hey,
Gal's
where you
Panic,
you
right?
want
You had a
this
connection with
in
it.
better
You
resolution than
really,
this
really
piece of shit
delved
game.
into it. You unwrapped it. You unboxed it. You
There's a
would enjoy it for a
reward.
couple of seconds.
Bullshit. All right, nobody's gonna buy this game. Nobody's gonna play this game. It's so fucking dead. Like I put these games on my Famicom Disk System build. They're just there for the sake of saying I'll put them on there.
Yeah,
These
absolutely.
games
Yeah. Mhm.
things there, but I'm not gonna fucking play them. They're fucking drawn so poorly. How can you even get sexually aroused over this? You can't. They're so badly
What
drawn.
are you
You know?
getting sexually aroused in an arcade setting? You're there to
Mhm.
play the game. You're
No, you're
there
there
to
to be
get
aroused.
satisfied by a
It's a
split
sexual
second with the
game.
pixels.
that's
What?
beyond the point.
Like
Why?
they're
You get the thrill of playing it publicly.
no
That's
Yeah.
the
those
thrill.
games are shit. All right.
All right, moving on, moving on. Let's do
Anyway,
round
thank you, Sir
two.
JDM, for that
Puzzle
We
games
have
are
wonderful.
great.
okay. So definitely the banter is going to be our clip for the
Oh
week.
yeah. Okay, sounds good. Okay. All right, let's do
Okay.
round two. Speed round, Drew.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll
by
be
the way, before
I'll be
we go to the speed round, I just like to give a little bit of insight to Sir JDM's choice, since this particular game has board games on them. So you, and by the way, guys, board games are still hip in this day and age. It's a
but
really,
Yes.
they're not
really good
puzzle games,
way.
though, are they? Different genre altogether, aren't they? Board games
Yes,
or table
but you
games.
know,
Yeah, yeah, different
yeah,
genre
Drew is saying
altogether. I
that
just want to give a
you
quick
might think that
insight.
board games are outdated too. They're not. There's a really good thriving
Yeah.
community of board
Like my
games.
brother, he's into these board games that he plays now. But
Mm.
like this game where it takes a whole bloody day to play this board game.
Oh
You know,
well.
Well,
I'm
it
thinking,
actually
wait,
it
you know,
depends, especially if you're drinking while playing the board game. So
Twilight
if
Oh my
Imperium.
goodness.
everybody's
Yeah.
drunk, you
Twilight
stop.
Imperium is the board game he loves playing. My brother plays this game called Twilight Imperium. It
Oh,
takes a whole, he
Twilight
got me in.
Imperium is an 8 hour game minimum.
Yeah,
Minimum.
with my dad, I had a sore ass because I was sitting down that long. And
So
what was
that's why you're
yeah,
so angry with Gal's Panic. You had a sore ass.
sore. I'm sitting here, my posture is like I've got the chair. It's not a comfortable chair. I'm like,
You-
why am I sitting here playing this crap
You've
game?
played
Like,
Twilight Imperium. You know how involved it can get, Viraj. So
Yes.
board games. We'll talk about that some other time. But yes,
Yeah, okay.
let's do speed round, Drew. All right.
Okay, let's
Oh,
go with speed round. I'm gonna give out my very quick choice for the speed round. Another match 3 game. This game is called Pokemon Shuffle. So this is
oh, yeah.
slightly different in a way when you're playing the regular match 3 games like Puzzle Quest, you're playing the Candy Crush, you could only move the tile next to the other tile. So we're in Pokemon Shuffle. What you do is you get particular sets of Pokemon that you have captured before. So much like by the way, I played the Nintendo 3DS version of this, and it would I think it's the same anyway. That's what we are showing. Anyway, you are gonna be dragging a particular Pokemon to be able to place them to the far away tile. So it's not strictly limited to the next tile. And also what you're doing in this particular game is you're trying to capture the Pokemon that you're pasting. So you would be going through the stages. Each of the stages are a different Pokemon altogether. All of the Pokemons are the same as their base game, wherein they are effective and ineffective against certain elements. So when you go into a stage, you get to choose four particular Pokemons that either is effective or has a certain mechanic to them that would help you clear or capture the Pokemon on that stage. So a very fun match three puzzle game, and especially good for people who like Pokemon, because there's the essence of capturing the Pokemon and being able to use them on the succeeding stages. I only got into the stage 98 on this one on the Nintendo 3DS, and it's something that I do enjoy playing on there. I just am not sure if in regards to its availability right now, but it's a really fun palette cleanser whenever I'm playing on the Nintendo 3DS. Anyway, that's it for my quick round. If you like mastery games and you like Pokemon, this is a game that you should look out for. And having said that, any quick comments on my quick pick for the quick round, guys?
It looks like
The
fun.
game looks like it looks like fun. I mean, it's a good children's game. Very good.
Mm, yeah.
It's a Pokemon twist on the mastery subgenre of the puzzle games.
I
So
played this a lot in my 3DS back in 2015, and I really like when you try to solve when you get you line up four faces of this Pokemon, then it stacks down and it forms another Pokemon of
combo.
the yeah you form a combos, then they try to shoot those faces in the upper screen. It's like
Yeah,
it's like fireworks. It's like
it's
watching
it's
fireworks.
it's like a really good it's like you did. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that you are actually limited in the moves that you can do in each and every stage. So some stages would only allow you to do three moves. So if you do defeat the Pokemon in much less moves, the catchability of a certain Pokemon goes up the lesser moves you did to be able
Mm.
to finish a certain stage. And as Sir JDM was saying, when you do a particular combo, it just goes pew pew. It's something really satisfying to witness because it goes fireworks after fireworks, and the combo would actually go on and on and on even after you have totally annihilated the Pokemon. I don't even know how the Pokemon could resist capture sometimes because your combo sometimes goes up to 50, even up to 99, and it's really, really, it's beyond painted. It's dead. It's KO. It's unalive. Anyway, any more comments, guys, in
It's
regards to my
basically
very, very
there was a
graphic
game
Pokemon pick?
because, well, I mean, that's actually the third in the series, so that's actually the final version of, because it started off as Pokemon Link, then there's Pokemon Link
Oh,
Battle, and then now you got what is Pokemon Shuffle. So if you look at Pokemon Link, it's like you see the primitive version of this series, and that's what was on the DS. Then there was a Pokemon Link Battle, which was a 3DS game, and obviously then you have this Pokemon Shuffle. So it's part of that series, and it's quite cheap actually. If you want to get it, you get it for about 20-25 pounds, around that much, maybe even less than that if you look harder. Because it's one of those Pokemon games which hasn't actually inflated in price. Because obviously people think about the core Pokemon games, they don't think about all these peripheral stuff. But definitely a fun game to play, like I said, for youngsters and children for sure.
this something I really noticed, and I really find this really, really amusing. By the way, that Sir Biraj, even though huge Sega fan, and not particularly hating on Nintendo, but he knows way too much about Nintendo, way more than us and
That's
than us
so.
people who
I've,
actually do love
I
it.
well, I worked in the industry. I don't know if you know this about me, Drew, but I used to, back when I started working in 2002, I worked in a shop which sold these video games. I remember them on the shelves, and I was responsible for the game section in the shop from
Oh yeah, I
2000.
forgot about that. Yeah.
And I worked in consumer electronics. I left in 2011, 2012. So this game was, the 3DS was out, but I was aware of the series, and in the business that I'm in, it's my job to know about this stuff. Like when people come and look at my games, I have to let them know. Like I have to know what I'm selling. It's my important to at least know what the game is. So even though I am a Sega fan, I know Nintendo is the cash crop. I know that. Okay. I know that's what's going to make me money. I need to know about the series of Nintendo.
That, children, is how you rake in the money. Be like
You know what?
Biraj, know
I'm not.
something even if you don't particularly like it. If it makes
Mhm.
money, be like
It's not.
Biraj.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Agree.
not personal, it's
It's
business.
it's it's the same line that you use before you plug somebody in the head. When you're winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, since
I do know a lot about video games, which is probably why I'm privileged to be on this panel. Like you fine people. So yeah, I know. All right.
All
So shall we move
right.
to the next game, or are we done with talking about this children's
Yes,
Pokemon?
next one.
Yeah,
Next one in the speed round. Drew, choose your next person for your speed round.
yeah. Since Sir Brush is in the Jolly Round, tell us all about Puyo Pop Fever.
Yeah.
Puyo is the series. So it started off on the Sega Mega Drive. It's again a block puzzler with little. They're called Piyos, and the series started on Mega Drive. You had Puyo 2. Then there was Puyo Sun on Sega Saturn. They're notable members. It was developed by a company called Compile, and they were famous for the Aleste series. And they actually got bought by Sega because all the stuff they were putting out was so good. So Puyo is now a Sega IP, has been for a while. Sonic Team took over production duties of the Puyo. I think I had Puyo. They called it Puyo Pop on the Game Boy Advance. They localized it finally. It was known as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Beam Machine on the Mega Drive. So that was like the Western localized version of Puyo. And you can actually look at that and you realize what it is. Puyo Pop Fever then came after Puyo Pop. And Puyo Pop Fever, obviously, they added much more gameplay dynamics. And fundamentally, the game is about, you get these little Piyos, and they're all one color, or there are a number of colors. And the idea is, if you get 4 in a row, you have to clear the block, but you have to attack. And there's a strategy to this game. And this game is so addictive. I can't stress how addictive this was when I played the advanced version of this. Because you're up against an AI, and the AI can be very hard. And I've only ever beaten this game once. I just don't have the speed because you've got to be very quickly. Now, as you can see, this guy's not purposely getting 4 in a row. He's getting combinations. So as you get a combination, you get these little blank globes, and you're trashing the enemy in his block. So you fill him up. The idea is to beat the enemy. So whoever gets a full block, they lose, right? So it's competitive. So as you can see, like this guy's on the left is strategically not getting 4 in a row, and he's going to try and make a link. And obviously, as it clears, he wants to get 4, then 4, then 4. And if you get a combination, there we go, he's going to drop another 4, 5, and another 4 there, and it's gone onto the other screen. And look, he's going to combo him. Boom! He's trashed him completely with all these blank little Piyos, and he's lost, and now he's won. Can you see? So it's a really strategic game where you have to make sure that all the colors match, but make sure like you do it at the right time. So you plan it so there's 3 in a row, and then you put another different color, then 3 in a row. Make sure that when you make sure that you link it, make sure that when it pops, the other colors will match, and the other colors will match. And then once they've all popped, you've got like a combination of like clear Piyos that will trash the other player on the other side, and whoever trashes the other player first wins. This is a really popular game in Japan. When the Mega Drive Mini 2 came out, or was announced in Japan, Puyo Sun, which was a Sega Saturn game, they put the 2-player version on the Mega Drive Mini too. And there was a competition, there was a big competition in Japan as to who could win or whatever. And Sega did that thing in Japan, sadly. We never had it here. But it's such a big game as a competitive sport. Well, e-sport, shall I say, in Japan, Puyo. So very, very popular game. I love it personally, and it was basically at the time Sega's answers to Tetris Attack, which is Panel de Pon on the Super Nintendo. Another great puzzle game for the 16-bit era that I would say is probably equal to in this game. I love Tetris Attack, and I love Puyo both equally. Great games. What do you think?
I actually also like this game. I got
Yes.
it for
Yeah.
PlayStation 2, so it's now on Sonic Team. Since I think after Dreamcast, if I'm correct,
Yes, Sonic Team took over Compile, and they did it.
after Compile. So yeah, as Barrage says, really, really enjoyable game. It's a really nice puzzler, and I noticed that it has some samey elements to columns as what the first game that Barrage was showing us, and there's a certain cuteness to this one, and it's something that you might really want to try if you see it on the arcade or if you see it in the bargain bin like me. That's why I'm saying Puyo Pop Fever, because that's what that's the version that I got. This is Puyo Pop Fever. So I didn't
on the advanced. So yeah, the advanced versions are really good because it's a game like I say, pop is great to go play on the go. Addictive. These are addictive games, and the music is so lovely in these games. So addictive. Well, it's not addictive. That's not the right word to say. They get earworms. They get stuck in your head because they're lovely melodies that just repeat in your head. So fun. But anyway, I love this game. I have to say,
and sometimes it's the melody that really drags us into playing more of the games.
It's
And
also
thank you. Hmm?
Simple. It's simple. Like you can see, it's such an easy game to get into. The fundamental principle of this is so straightforward. Don't let the cutesy art mislead you. Like this is a game that for all, just kids and adults, and you can really enjoy it. I just want to throw that in there as well. But anyway, that's my thoughts on POPO.
And thank
POPO.
you so much for that, Biraj. And yeah, really recommended, especially for the Sega fans out there. Even if you're not a Sega fan,
I
just
think
some
I think for puzzler fans, it's I
yeah,
think it's
Puzzler fans and head-to-head fans. If you enjoyed Tetris 99, do check this one out. There's some certain similar elements to it. So yeah, thank you for that. Your recommendation for our quick round, Barrage. And let's go on with Miss Einspick for our quick round.
Oh, Miss Eileen, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. I'll just show a very very quick what call this just my recent purchases. It's just digital, so it's very quick.
It still
um
counts. It still counts. Digital purchases nowadays still count.
I'm not sure if it's showing. Is it
Not just yet.
showing?
Now it is. Yeah. There you
Not
go.
yet. Oh, there. Oh, so I bought. This was within the last 2 weeks. Technomancer. This was recommended by Sir Dan before.
Mm.
The Crew 2. Thank you, Sir Joe, for this. And Hitman World of Assassin Part 1 was on sale. It's been on my wish list
Wish
for
list.
quite some time because I like
Yeah.
Hitman. And on GOG, I
Oh,
got
nice.
Jack Rabbit 2. And
Nice.
That's
also, Sir Dan
nice.
recommended Summoner 2. I got the first Summoner because that's the only one available on
Yeah.
the PC.
GOG.
And thank you for that. Going back to my speed round, I was actually torn because I have two, but I'm gonna breeze through the two games. I'll start with the first one. It's quick. Sokoban. Um, I saw it in the comments earlier from Christopher Abestado. He also said, but sorry, I'm mumbling Sokoban. This is
Sokoban.
also Voxel on Game Boy, as Christopher said on the comments, and there is also a PC Engine version. So Sokoban is or was designed in 1981 by Hiroyuki Mabayashi, published in 1982, and it was a big hit in Japan. It was published in the US a year later by Spectrum Holobyte for IBM PC, Commodore 64, and Apple II. My first experience was actually on the MS-DOS, so this I remember distinctly the very vivid color pixelated images of Sokoban, and it doesn't have any background music, but when you move the character, it's tit, tit, tit. So you get that old beeping sound from the old computer systems. So Sokoban means warehouse keeper, where you push boxes around the screen on the tiles, and you have to strategically place them into marked spots on the screen. So it starts easy, but the puzzles become head scratchers as you progress. The challenge is there are walls which give you narrow passageways, leaving little room for movement, and some boxes block your way. So just look at how you really have to think before you move. Because once you
Oh,
oh
there's a game like this on. No, this is a Sega Mega Drive game called Box It. So this has actually been cloned on the Mega Drive. It's called Box It. Something you might want to give a go. Continue. Give it a go. I think maybe Sega copied it, or somebody's copied this game, or made. But there's a Mega Drive version similar to this called Box It. I've played this game.
that's
Better graphics. But no,
It's
it looks pretty cool.
basically warehouse worker simulator. Yeah.
yeah. What are you doing? I'm looking at okay. just watching
Except-
this gameplay gives me a heart attack.
Does
Like
not
don't
have
push it
the
too far.
manager, the foreman or manager screaming at you for for fucking it up. Anyway, continue, Miss Eileen.
What the F are you doing? Why did you put So the challenge here is that there are narrow passageways, and once you push the boxes onto the wall or dead ends, you really are effed up because you cannot pull them. But in the voxel versions, you can actually pull the boxes,
Yeah.
or it's more like reverse your actions. I think you have to reverse actions
You
for
can
voxel,
undo.
and
Yes.
yes, undo. That's a proper term. Thank you, Sir Joe.
I just want to correct myself there. The game isn't called Box It. It's called Shove It. It's called Shove It.
Which
That's
you
That
started
sounds better.
wondering,
I
is
think
it better for that title? Anyway,
if you go on
continue.
YouTube and
Sounds
you type
better.
Shove It, you think this is a carbon clone of this game, and the Sega version, you're like, my god, just look at it, it's exactly the same game. I just had a
That's
Google check
cool.
of it. It's the
But
same.
this one came out in 1984. Got to think about that one.
82.
This one
Yes.
came out in, let me have a look on Sega. I think it's 1990 something.
Oh.
But yes,
No, it just goes to show classic gameplay will be classic no matter what era. This is still somewhat when you get down to it, when you get into that Zen zone, you will start thinking, all right, I am, I am enjoying this because I'm at that part of my brain where, you're not thinking too deep, but you are still thinking. Anyway, continue, Miss Eileen.
So in the, let's say, late 90s era, in the beginning of mobile phones, the development of mobile phones, if Nokia had a Snake game on theirs, if anybody remembers the Mars brand phones, they had Sokoban there.
Mm.
So I'm not sure if I could squeeze in my third game, or I'll just
Yes.
leave it at
Go
that
ahead,
one.
Miss Eileen. Squeeze in very quickly your third game.
Very quickly, my third game is Chips Challenge. So this is also another old game because I'm retro like that. It was published in
Challenge. Yes.
1989 by Epix for Atari Lynx. It was later ported to Windows 3.1. The best way I could describe this for our audio listeners is it is a tile-based game where you move your hero chip to the different tiles on the screen. So you get color-coded keys in order to open up color-coded doors, and those are, well, the chips add to your score. And once you open up all the doors, you get the last key. Oh, wait. When you get all those chips, you get to open the door, the exit to the final door to the exit. So we have on screen for our other listeners enemies that are going around certain obstacles, and there are certain terrains that Chip has to go through, and he could not go through those unless he has the proper shoes. So there are like four types of terrain. There is the directional conveyor belt. There is a, let's say, a group of bonfires. Then I see platforms and the water. So you get proper boots for each of those terrains in order to progress through the puzzle. It's fun, and it actually becomes gradually challenging. And with the type of art and classic appeal of this one, kids will love this. And
Yep, I had
since this
yeah,
was, even though it was in 1989 on Windows 3.1, it is accessible now on Steam. And there's also a sequel that was made by the same creator of the first one. So do check it out.
Yes,
yeah,
I was
I
going
had
to say, Miss Eileen, Chuck's Challenge. Anyway,
Chip,
yeah, Viraj, go ahead.
Oh,
yeah,
yes, I've heard that.
Chip Challenge is a game that I was very fond of because I had it on my Windows 3.1 computer, and it's just it's a maze puzzler, but obviously you have to sort of work out what the problem is. So you have to get this to open this, you have to do this to
Yeah.
then get this. And as a youngster, because it's so well drawn, I think graphics are very important to sort of understand what's going on. You can clearly see you're after the chips. You've got a timer there. It's the simplicity that can draw you into this game playing on your little numpad on your Windows 3.1 computer. So I had a lot of fun with that. Very quickly on the Sokoban game. So that was actually officially licensed. They actually took the Sokoban license by Thinking Rabbit, who developed it. And Sega actually had it on the SG-1000, so it's ported on the SG-1000. It's called Sokoban, but eventually they called it Shove It on the Mega Drive, and it was only released in America because obviously by then it's actually quite a dated game for what it was even in the 90s. But very good picks, Miss Eileen. I love them.
I found it. Shove it.
Shove It. You see it. You can see it's exactly the same as Sokoban, but it's better graphics. So that's basically all it is.
Yes.
All right.
We will like
Good
this.
choice, Miss Eileen. Up, Drew. I think you're on mute.
So I love the recommendations of Miss Eins. Then something suddenly hit me. There is a certain puzzle game that I really like, and I just realized that it's a puzzle game right now. And this is something that Sergio, I think Sergio either has played this or has heard about this or something, because it's made by Atlas. It's has the plots. It's has all the right things for you to be able to play with your joystick. And it's Catherine. It's made by Atlas. It's part of the Persona world. And I just recently got myself a new copy from this free from Amazon because of the points, because it was selling for like under $10. So I realized I don't have a copy of this. Got it on. So this is a very similar game in aspect to Sokoban, where you move the blocks for you to be able to reach the top. And it's a visual, it has a very deep story. So that's a plus on this one, because you are getting into a love triangle where well, there's also a new version of this full body. So what you do is you move blocks in a 3D dimension to make stairs for you to be able to get up on the top of the floor, the top of the stage. Either you're escaping from something, some particular nightmare that you are going through. And the writing on this is made by the same people who made the Persona games. This is part of the Persona world, by the way.
Oh,
And I actually forgot about its its involvement in the Persona series. Miss France actually had to remind me about its connection. It's You could actually find the main protagonist of this game in Persona 3. So there's that. It's part of the Persona world, and it's a very challenging, and very adrenaline pumping game, because besides the puzzle solving, there's something that's would not only motivate you to you're trying to escape, you're trying you're
mm.
it has all the right plots on this, trust me. And you're right in the middle of a love triangle, and there's a lot of innuendo on this. Is just something right out of Sir Joss wet dreams, and really recommend this one. And I got sidetracked anyway. Okay, anyway, proceeding with our quick round, a quick round. And Sir Joel, would you share with us your quick pick for our puzzle games?
Honestly, Drew, this episode is very hard because there's tons of great puzzle
Yeah,
games. Honestly,
yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
great ones, and you guys will forgive me when I popped in and out earlier because delivery just came in. Joe advised me against getting this, but I'm not quite sure if Joe will see this. So yeah, it's a delivery from Valve Corporation. You know. Joe advised against me getting that one, but I went for it anyway because it was cheap. Yes, Viraj, you're a little. I can see your facial expression. You've got a question mark on your over your head right now.
Twing!
Well, well done for showing us all where you live. Your address was on the package. I'm going to
Yeah,
see
exactly. It's no secret. You Google my name, my address shows up. I'm not really I'm not really hiding. I'm not really hiding what where I live. I don't have any people after me for debts or whatnot. But yeah,
Sure.
my
You're on a-
my second game of choice is a game. It was a hard choice. I was initially going to talk about the Incredible Machine for PC, but I already talked about that long ago. This time though, I am going to talk about a game on PlayStation 2 called Fantavision. For those of you who are familiar with a game called it's a game called Fantavision. For those of you who like fireworks, this is the game that you should play because of the fact that you basically have to line up 3 fireworks of the same color and you detonate them to make points for yourself. So those of you who are looking for visually appealing games, for people who are interested in playing something that will titillate your eyes and your ears, that is the game that you want to play. It's called Fantavision. You control a cursor who is trying to line up what you call this fireworks of the same color, three in a row, and you can detonate them to increase your meter at the very bottom. If you miss detonating certain fireworks, then it lowers the meter, and eventually, if it goes low enough, you lose the game. But visually speaking, this game is almost it scratches that zen feeling for yourself, where you want it's this might appeal to you, Viraj. It's as simple as possible. The
Well,
concept
yeah,
is extremely it's as simple as it can possibly be. Just link those fireworks together and detonate them before they fizzle out.
I
So
have a question though.
go
Do
ahead,
you,
go ahead, Viraj.
when you open the box, obviously there is a manual, which is
Yes.
great. But does it also come with a chassis of LSD pills? You know, do I get LSD with it so I can enjoy the
Oh
color?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you pop it, you play it, and
Oh, yeah.
before you know it,
I want some hallucinogens, man. That's what
yeah,
I
you
want.
pop it, you play it, and before you know it, you're face down in the gutter, in your underpants, and
It's
It
like
looks like a visual spectacle, and it reminds me of a game called it's a rail shooter called Res by
Res,
Sega.
yes,
Yeah,
that's true.
it's got that sort of
Ah,
style.
yeah.
Mhm.
I wouldn't call that a puzzle game. It's more of a rail shooter. But I love those sort of
Eh,
neon light sort of games with that sort of visual stuff. So yeah, very cool.
There it
Very
is,
good.
Joe. Just wanted to show you.
Oh, is it your Steam Deck?
Ooh.
Hold on.
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, you could have waited for the Switch too, but you got this shit. It's all right. Well done.
No, I don't want the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is not going to be coming within the next couple of years, I'd say, because of the fact that they're still making bank on it, and
They
They're
announced
trying
they're
to
gonna-
surpass PlayStation 2.
mhm. And I do want to, well, for those of you, we do not condone piracy, but we understand that it exists. I want to emulate games up to the PS2
You know what?
while I'm on the go. Anyway,
My-
continue, Viraj.
My friend created a retro arcade, like a whole library on his Steam Deck, and I'm jealous of him because
No, there you go.
can do on that. It's amazing.
And
So
I just
great.
wanted to say the main reason I got this it's on sale all the way until September 26th for 25% off, 336.75 if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Wow. Good.
Yeah. Mhm. It's
All
just the LCD. It's just the LCD model, though. So you have you just expect a little bit less battery life, expect a little less shine in the screen, but it's still something.
You can dock it and put it to your TV if you want and play PS2. I mean, it can
Yeah.
do a lot. I mean, to be honest, my view is those games look better on a big screen TV, the PS2 and onwards. I wouldn't like to play them on the go, and I've always found 3D games like PSP and stuff not appropriate for handheld gaming if you're on the go because they're too involving. You need to have a big TV where you can relax and not strain your eyes looking at them. That's my opinion. That's how I react to 3D games on the go. I don't know about you, but that's why I think Nintendo has always been successful. And I think with the 3DS, they weren't so much because the 3Ds would pop. Anyway,
Well,
whatever.
one of the biggest things, two reasons. I got this for the fact that we travel to Florida every now and then, and that long trip really, when I'm sitting and relaxing, I have to do something. And the other thing is that because the missus and my kid keep hogging the 65-incher TV with their Sims and Genshin Impact. So, what can I say?
Buy another TV. Get another TV. Put it in another room like I have.
Yeah, I guess, but I'd rather just go on the go.
I live alone and I've got more than one TV. What does that mean?
Anyway, all right. So that was my choice. My choice for the speed round, Fantavision for PS2. Puzzle game, very visually appealing, very minimalistic, a lot of fun. You go into Zen mode, playing, detonating fireworks. You guys might enjoy it. I think it's even available on the Sony PlayStation Store on a remastered version. I'm not quite sure, or it's just one of those classics ones that's available that you can play on your modern consoles. Back to you, Drew.
And
Game
it's going
like-
on my hunt list. Actually, I'm looking for this arcade games that I could play, especially the Japanese versions, because I'm trying to collect Japanese video games that I don't really need to understand the story. I don't want to, mess around with it. I don't want to learn a whole. Well, I knew the language a bit, just not on the reading level. So this is definitely going on my hunt list on my PlayStation 2 Japanese collection. And thank you for that, Sir Joel. Uh, Actually, I I read this in the shelf, some on the shelf when I go looking for games. I'm just not sure what kind of game it is. Anyway,
This time,
and
you can look for it. It's well worth it. Trust me. Just one of those pick up and play games. You don't even have to think very deeply about it.
yeah,
Very visually appealing. Those of you who are passing by in the back will say, "Hey, that's nice." And
yeah,
it's as opposed to when people play Gals Panic. You say,
yes.
"Oh, that's nice." Anyway.
Nice.
Well, let's talk about that piece of shit
Anyway,
game. Let's move on, man.
awesome pick for the quick rounds for Joel. And having said that, let's go with Sir JDM for his pick for the quick round. Sir JDM, what's your quick round pick?
For me, I have two really quick. It's Heian-kyo Alien for the Game Boy. So Heian-kyo Alien, you play as Heian police officer in the Heian period. It's Heian-kyo is the old name, one of the old names for is it Kyoto or Tokyo? Uh, yeah.
Kyo
So
Edo is Kyoto, I
yeah.
think.
All right. So you play as this police officer trying to catch these monsters who invaded Earth by digging holes on the ground. It's like they're trying to trap these aliens. So it's like a maze puzzle game that you try to place holes on the ground to capture those aliens who are trying to invade your town. And this particular, the one that you see on your screen right now is
I like the
the
subtitle.
game.
6-year-old TJ was confused to no end by this game.
So the this is the much newer version of the game. It
Ah,
They made it much more appealing.
the
So
Game Boy Color
you
version. Yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
is the Game Boy Color version. The original one is on an old PC. It's an old PC game. It's just sprites, and you can see holes being dug by this police officer to capture. You just have to strategically place these holes on the ground.
That
I
alien just ate that police officer. Okay.
Yes, and he comes back in the
Oh,
vengeance.
there you
But
go again.
Mm.
so the goal is you try to catch these aliens by just digging a hole, strategically dig a hole on the ground. And you need, once you trap them, you need to close them up. And this is the like remaster of the game. But when you play the old PC version, it's
Talk about
just
illegal aliens not
pixels.
assimilating into the culture. Come on. Anyway, continue.
So I first discovered this game back in 2001, so it's very late, and I'm not really into puzzle games, but this one I really enjoyed because it looks appealing, like what you guys said earlier. There are games that you just like to pick up. You don't have to be involved in a very like
There it is. That's the
involving.
original version.
Yes, that's the original version. You can play this on the Game Boy Color. It's like an alternative mode that you can play.
It's almost
Thus,
like a top-down version of Load Runner.
yes,
Hmm.
something like that. It's a
Yeah.
puzzle game. There's strategy to it. You can try to catch them by learning their movement patterns, and sometimes you can go ahead and take them head on, but there's a good chance that you'll get caught and even get trapped, like Bomberman. You get trapped and get in the way of the bombs and get blown you, by yourself.
Hmm.
So it's really it's a good old fashioned puzzle game, and I really love playing this when I was trying to borrow my cousin's. Game Boy Color. And the other game is, this one is, I'm not really a fan, but I love watching my dad play it. Back when we first had our NES, it's called Lunar Pool. So it's a game of pool, but you only have a few shots to finish the to
Lunar
complete
pool,
all,
yeah.
yes,
Mm,
to
nice one.
to yeah, to so
Oh,
this
I
I
one,
love
can
this
hear
one.
that.
yeah, you can
Image you
hear
can
that,
hear.
I
right?
can hear that.
Yeah,
I
you can
love
hear
this
the
game.
intro music.
So it's like playing a game of pool, but the puzzle element uh comes in when, at first, it's just a regular pool table. Then on the second round, you have this table shape like this with, it's like a different shape. So
Mm.
you're trying to figure out how to
I mean,
shoot these balls in the corner.
with all due respect, this isn't exactly a puzzle game. It's a sports game, really, isn't it? I mean, you're
Yeah,
kind of cheating there, JDM. It's a sports game.
In a way,
yeah, it's
yeah.
a sports game.
No,
Yeah,
well, actually,
but
if you go on Wikipedia and look at this game and the genre, it actually says sports. So not in a way, it's actually a sports game. If you
Okay,
lose, good day,
yeah,
sir. What is
okay.
this? Huh?
but
I got
I
this.
I'll allow it. I'll
I'm trying
allow
to
it.
I'm trying to sports game. What is this, man? What is the
I'll allow
puzzle
it.
element? We're gonna allow this, huh?
I'll allow it.
yeah. Uh,
Oh, man. All
for
right,
me,
fine.
it's
I
like,
see it.
uh,
Okay. So please,
it's a puzzle game because you're trying to figure out how you put those
there's a level
balls
of
in the
skill
corner.
attached to this, isn't there? There's a level of skill attached to this. You have to, hit the ball at a certain angle, and there's trigonometry and all that. I wouldn't say, that takes skill. I mean, it's not necessarily a puzzle game, is it? I'm sorry to like tear you to shreds on this one. This is
Yeah,
cheating.
yeah,
This should not be allowed. I'm sorry.
yeah. So for me, it's a puzzle game because you're trying to. It's not the regular pool that you see on when you go to the like arcade.
The nice thing about it
Uh,
too is that you can actually adjust the friction on this. That's part of the
yeah,
thing about Lunar Pool. If you adjust the friction to zero,
Yeah.
it'll go on forever. Even if it bumps up against something, or there's no Newtonian physics here anymore. When you adjust the physics to the friction to zero, it won't stop until your main ball goes into the pocket. Anyway, back to you, JDM.
I really love watching this game than playing it because I remember my dad playing this one. I'm not really into pool or something, but whenever I see this game, it reminds me of him. And I hope he still remembers this game though, because it's been like 20 years or 30 years since I last saw him play this. So
It
yeah,
reminds me of
look
crazy
at,
golf. Isn't it? It's like crazy golf, with all the
yeah,
different things. You're trying to pop the balls in that, and that's all right, I guess.
yeah,
Okay.
like a mini golf course, right?
Mm, mm, yeah.
And he
Cool.
even perfected this. Look at that. He even perfected this one, this stage. It looks really difficult, but I really like seeing this game rather than playing it.
Mm,
So that's it. Heian-kyo Elion for the Game Boy Color and Lunar Pool for the NES.
very nice. All right. Cool. Okay. Back to you, I think, Sir Drew.
You're my
On mute. You're on mute. Sir Drew, you're on mute.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Now I'm not. Okay. so, sorry for that. I keep on forgetting because I try to put it on mute because I have this really loud reaction sometimes, and I just try to hold my chuckles and whatnot. Anyway, that's besides besides the point. Anyway, thank you, Sir JDM, for your picks. I That first game, the Heian Kyo, really reminds me of as Sir Joel said, Load Runner, but it It reminds me more of Bomberman, maybe because of the top down aesthetics
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatnot.
Got bomb.
Yeah, and
Although
and
Lode Runner is the sequel to Bomberman, if I remember correctly. Once you finish Bomberman, you become the Lode Runner, I think, if I remember correctly. Anyway, continue.
TIL.
Okay. Yeah, today I learned. Yeah. Mhm.
TIL. The
Oh,
day I
you never
learned.
finished Bomberman, the game?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No,
Mm.
I don't believe so. Anyway, today I learned, and yeah, that's okay. Literally, mine. Not literally. I'm actually
Yeah, you learn
figuratively
something new
mind
every day.
blown right
You know,
now.
that's my philosophy. Mhm.
You know who
Yeah.
finished Bomberman?
Yeah.
No.
Hmm?
The Yuna Bomber.
The you oh, fine, okay.
Uh, uh,
Anyway, nice pick, Sir JD, and that's lunar lunar ball, such a nostalgic thing for me, especially the music on that one. As Miss Ayn said, we could hear the picture, we could hear the video even without the actual music playing on it. And there's something puzzling there's some certain puzzle elements when it comes to this arcade games because of the tactical strategy that you do. And I do understand why Sir Biraj is opposed to them being called puzzle games. I do get his point of view. I do get his
it's on
perspective.
Wikipedia. It's not a point of view, man. It's a fact. It's not a point of view. It's on Wikipedia, so it has to be true.
Yeah. I could. Somebody edited
You
Wikipedia
do
or
understand
something.
that even Henry Cavill said Wikipedia. You
Yeah,
said you think Wikipedia is
yeah,
the
but
source of information.
All right, let's
You
go.
went
it's on
that
the
way.
internet, so it must be true.
Yeah? Let's go. All right, let's go.
Anyway,
Wikipedia.
I'm gonna give
Wikipedia
the
is your source of
platform.
information.
I'm gonna give the platform to Sir Joe so that he could wrap this
All right,
quick roundup. Sir Joe, tell us about your quick pick.
it's a sport. It's a sport, and it's on. It says it on Games Launch Box now. So there's two sources I have. That's it. It's a sport.
Okay. Never cite Wikipedia as a source, Barrage. Trust me.
I
Never cite Wikipedia as a source.
Wikipedia, man. I got through uni because of Wikipedia, and they accepted it.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, but and the geek god Henry Cavill actually said Wikipedia. No,
Yeah.
anyway. All right, Joe, it's to you.
Okay. You're on mute. You're on mute as well, man. What is this, man? You're on mute.
Yeah, everyone's on mute. Yeah, everyone's on mute.
You
So
better
if
be
we're
a
talking
serious-
about, so if we are talking about hitting balls, okay, I got something for you. The game is called Opie Opie Orbs.
Oh my!
Okay,
Just from the
Opie Opie Orbs. What is Opie Opie Orbs? So this is Opie Opie Orbs. So
Where do you
the
find
goal here is basically, so the mechanics of the game. So you are dropping all of these colored balls. Okay, if you hit two balls of a certain color, they grow bigger. Okay, into a bigger ball. All right, and the idea here is making the balls explode so that the
Oh
girls'
man!
boobs grow bigger.
Oh,
Okay,
What the?
the more balls you get, the bigger her boobs get. Okay, so that's the titillating factor about this game.
and
Very
what console?
simple.
What is
You can
it?
play. It's very simple. It's very color coordinated, color and size coordinated. You can play it with one hand. Very simple game. Very simple goal. Opie Opie Orb available. You can just search for it. Okay. You can play it on your PC, on your iOS, on your Android. Just search for it. It's free. Okay. That's all there is to it. Okay. That's it.
The title alone got me, and
This
I
is
think this is the game that the Saitama of One Piece Man has been promoting since his shirt literally says "Oppai." So this must be the game that he's been playing. He's been fiddling about.
See,
Anyway,
look
that's
at see. Oh, there you go. Oh, it's already out. It's already out.
I mean, in my opinion,
Oh, it's so in
Mm.
Sergio we trust to save each and
Mm.
every episode with his
So
picks.
two gray balls will turn into
Two great
a yellow
balls.
ball. Two yellow balls will turn into an orange. Two orange balls will turn into a purple ball. Purple balls will turn into a blue ball. Two blue balls will turn into a green ball. And if you manage to pin two green balls, then the boobs will pop out. That's
well,
the
this
idea.
game makes sense. I mean, what is the point? I mean, okay, fair enough. How does her boobs get bigger because of the balls getting bigger? It makes
No,
no
no,
sense.
don't question it. Just play it. You don't question
Just
it.
happens. Let it
just
happen. Let
happens.
it breathe.
It just happens.
There's no joy in this game. It's so simple.
No,
All
there
it
is
is
joy in this.
2-year-old can
You
play this.
you are a
Easy.
joyless man.
Challenge. There's no
You
challenge.
miserable, joyless man. Just
You
play
need
it.
more of the
Why?
same.
Don't question
Why
it.
are you
Just
cock blocking the joy? Do not
There's
cock
no, I mean,
block
there's
the
no
joy.
joy in this.
Let the joy happen. Let it.
you
There is
are
no
robbing the joy
Another
out of everyone.
man. The first game was
No.
shit. The second game is shit. There's no
No.
challenge to this. Like Nintendo
There's,
will make a
there,
game.
there's challenge in this, okay? Nintendo licensed this game for crying out
There's
loud.
no challenge, and there's no need for that blue-haired bitch to be there at all.
No,
And
there's challenge into this. You know why? Because just like in Tetris,
the reason she's there is because of the
in a
incentive.
container, okay,
Play
It's
this,
motivating
you
to
need
drop your
strategy to play
balls.
this, okay?
this game is a shit game because it's pointless playing. The
No,
only reason
it's not a shit game. It's a very intellectual game.
it's not
actually.
intellectual, you dumb bitch. You only
No,
there because
no.
the woman.
there's
That's the
strategy in this. Okay, you just don't drop balls all willy nilly. Okay,
The only
you
reason
need to
you
be
want to
very
play this
specific
game,
on where you
Yo,
position the
that's
balls,
the only
making
reason.
sure that you get.
If the boob witch wasn't there, you'll not play this game. It's shit. Like that's only there to incentivize you to play this piece of shit. Like, come on, this is so boring. Anyone knows how to play this game.
No,
It's
no.
just a matter of
Actually,
doing
most of
the
the time you're not even paying attention to the girl anyway. You're paying more attention to
content, you're
the
not paying
ball.
attention. There's no reason
No.
you play this game. There's no other. Why would you play this game?
Mm.
Why? You want
Yes,
to see the
it's,
girls'
it's
boobs. That's
only
it.
on the Timeless Gamer Show, guys, where you would be hearing
There's no need,
grown
like,
men fighting
games.
about dropping balls.
Games. The only reason
excuse me, and Puyo Puyo is any better.
it is
Fuck
a
you, man.
piece of
Touche!
shit.
And Puyo Puyo is any better.
Touche!
P.O.
Candy Crush is better.
Yeah, all these games
Well-
that you picked are like single player games you play on your own with a bit of lube with one hand in the basement. That's a basement dwelling game. You're a lonely
Well,
guy.
the
getting no-
difference,
That's
the
it.
No.
difference with Sir Joss
Mm.
balls and Sir Biraj Puyo balls is that the Puyo
Mm.
balls are slimy and they're stuck together.
Listen, P.O. is a 10 times better game. Comms is a better game. I could name what other Sega games because we're running out of time now. So we got Choo Choo Rocket. That's another game unnamed. That's a wicked puzzle game. We got flipping
Yeah, that's nice. I love that. It's on the Dreamcast.
Animal, Baku
If
Animal.
I make,
yeah.
okay, fine. If I make, by your logic, if I make a
Come on,
Puyo Puyo
yeah,
game and I put the girl in there,
That's the best game.
for every 4 colors that you get rid of, okay, she strips.
Okay. But
Where's the logic? See, I do a hole I poke a hole in your logic right there.
And another issue I have with the game, if you go back
close
to
it,
it,
okay.
why can't it be a bitch with natural hair colors? Why does she have that fucking like fucking blue hair, man? Why can't she have like normal hair, natural hair? What the fuck is wrong with this
It's
shit?
all by orbs, guys.
Shit, that's what it is. Don't play this game. Right, the ones I mentioned,
Don't
Choo
need
Choo
to
Rocket, Baku Animal.
overcomplicate it. It's just a game about dropping balls and some
Mm.
anime girl. All pies get huge. It's simple.
So
It's simple. Don't need to
his
overthink
game
it.
is Puyo Puyo, mine's Opay Opay. Take your pick.
Yours is shit, man. That's what it is.
Take your
It's-
pick, guys. Take your
it's
pick.
a shit game. Like, why would you-
What I'm offering is something more. Okay.
you're offering-
Pay no
Let's-
attention to
And
the
it
girl.
grows. It's
Pay
Pay
more.
no attention to the girl.
If
It's
you
just a
look at-
distraction.
If you're gonna look
Use
at
the
better
balls. Okay? Just
there's no
play with the
incentive.
balls.
No. There's better boobs. All right. If you want to look at boobs, just go on Google image search and you'll find better boobs than this shitty video game. And what is this? Like, all you're doing is dropping a ball that's the same color to make it match. That's it. And then you just put it together. Like, that's just the most. That's like a rip off of Buster Move, which is made by Taito years ago. Yeah. These games.
No,
Also,
excuse-
are you
oh,
saying
no.
about
Possible-
Bubble?
that's a match 3 game. This is something a little bit more original.
It's
Mm.
not,
Let's do shameless plugs, guys.
the
We're already
game is
3 hours.
all you're saying is
Anyway, before we get our balls in a twist, let's end our quick round with this.
trust you to pull this shit. Pick 2 shit games, man. You always pick 2 shit ones. We waste everyone's fucking time. Just pick a proper fucking game. I already named about 3 others that are better. Yeah, Baku Animals better. Choo Choo Rocket's better.
That's his opinion, guys. The
All
watchers
right.
and listeners.
The best
That
game
is
in
just his opinion.
Okay,
Okay.
at this point,
Episode goal achieved. We pissed off Viraj. Okay, there you go.
I think at this point of the Timeless
Man,
Gamer
waste so
Show,
much fucking
we
time.
could
The games I
really
chose to bring up.
verify that Biraj
You
does
are
not
the
like-
master of your balls, guys. If
Yeah.
you happen to enjoy Puyo, that's okay. If you enjoy Opay, that's okay too. You are the
Yeah.
master.
These are
Alright,
going
alright.
in our
Let's wrap it up
reels,
this discussion.
later.
It's time to wrap it up. Okay,
And
Drew.
if you hate pixelated titties like Biraj, that's okay too. That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine. Drew, final word goes to show captain. Cap it off.
Thank you so much for making me show captain, and thank you for welcoming me to the Timeless Gamer Show family. I've been somewhat of a regular appearance right now, and I have been the wingman of Sir Joe for quite a while. It's quite puzzling, and we have delved into the world of puzzle games. Mostly, this is about brain challenge games, games that we don't really necessarily focus on the story, but that is not to say that it is limited to non-story driven games, because we had games like Portal, we had games like Gals Panic, where we have certain motivations to be able to
Don't even name
fulfill
that game.
our quota.
Don't even mention it.
And we have finally got our quota of pissing off the red show. A really huge success on this episode. Thank you for making me the captain. And it's time, I think, it's time for our shameless plugs. Am I right? Anyway, capping it up again. Thank you for having me as captain. You can find me both on YouTube and on Facebook at Geek Out Gaijin. You can find my um uh, unboxings, my toy hunts, my reviews, or some just general rants of me saying my insights in regards to certain gaming news or certain gaming personas that I would like to react to. Anyway, that's it from me and from my captaining up the show for tonight. This is Geek Out Gaijin, and back to our Sir Joel.
All right. For me, it is going to be you can check out my streams on twitch.tv, on kick.com, hashtag FUFB. I do streams of a mix of retro games and modern games. I'm also always here on Timeless Gamer Show. And yeah, we do our very best to try to entertain and educate people. I hope everybody had a good time with this episode. And yeah, game on, everybody. Back to you, Joe.
All right. How about you, Miss Eileen? Quickly, say something to piss Sir Viraj off. Say something good about Opay Orb.
She will not say nothing good about that.
I would say I would just open or better, but I actually have a wholesome version on the phone, but it's having an ad break. It's the same gameplay without the girl with the boobs, so you can play the game even without the girl.
Okay.
See,
Mine-
it's
So
still a
you can find me
Viraj.
on Twitch and YouTube. I would show here, but it's on an ad. But the F.
No problem.
So you can find me on Twitch and
Yeah.
YouTube.
You don't want to
So-
see it.
F
Well,
you,
actually-
nobody.
That's perfect, Miss Eileen. Without Jaw's extra content, how is it as a game?
It's actually enjoyable, and the goal is you must not let the balls reach the top, because that is game over. But the challenge is you have to match the balls so you could form the biggest one and until they disappear from the screen. So that's the challenge of it. There is a point to
Yeah.
it.
No, gameplay
There-
wins out,
there is a
Garage.
point to
Sorry
it.
to say. Okay.
2 points,
Fine
actually.
game for children. That's what it is.
Two pick points.
The reason that one's an adult version, that took make it grown up because they put boobs in that one. But those games
Well,
are
you can play our games and get good.
Get good. How about Sir
Pretty
JDM?
good.
Where can they find ya?
So for me, 123 Go Retro on Facebook and on Twitch. Recently got back to streaming, so it's I'm glad to be back. And what else? So that's it. And support non-DRM games. Go to gog.com. I'm trying to attract corporate sponsors here. So
Nice. Thank you for that, Sir JDM. And of course, Sir Viraj, where can they find ya?
Well, you can find me on the Sega Genesis group on Facebook. You can find me on the Sega Mega Masters channel on YouTube, which is, well, frozen for the time being, but I'm there. And you can find me at the Nottingham Gaming Market, which takes place October 13th. And you can just Google that and you'll find me there. And obviously, you find me here berating some of the panel members for their shitty choices in their crap video games on the show. I don't know why. I'm sorry, apologies for those people who are serious, that want to know about serious puzzle games. You know, we had a couple of doozies here, which weren't even that good. They didn't even need to do this shit. Right? They could have picked better games. The games I chose were proper puzzle games that were successful, sold in the millions. But they had to pick this piece of shit. I'm sorry about that, yeah? I'm sorry. On behalf of me and any decent, sane person watching this shit, yeah? There are so many great puzzle games, so many that you can choose from that are better than those abomination that Sir Joe chose. But anyway, I'll go back to you. So I'm done with what I've had to say. I've said my piece. We're done now. Back to you, Cedric.
It's working.
And that's the show, guys. For everyone who stayed for this long, thank you all so much, and we will catch you sometime October. For next week, we will be on our season break. We will be back on our 12th season in October. We're gonna wait for the Yakuza series to drop. It's been announced already, actually. Part of the gaming news.
I'm
Okay.
looking forward. I know it's not going to follow the games, and that's kind of why I'm excited because at least it's something different. But I look forward to that Amazon show. A lot of great things coming out on Amazon, in my opinion. Great streaming platform, but in terms of a lot of video game,
Also, a lot of new shows coming to Netflix, video game related, Tomb Raider, Devil May Cry.
Castlevania,
Splinter
second
Cell.
season will be announced soon. So I'm looking forward to the second season of Castlevania Nocturne on Netflix. That's another
Oh
one.
yeah.
A lot of shows that we were supposed to review, actually. But we will tackle them eventually, guys. So hopefully, we will do Yakuza sometime soon, and hopefully another
Castlevania.
show
So
or movie, video game related, that we might review. Alrighty, so that's it, guys. Thank you all so much, and as always, our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain. Hey,
timeless.
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 Timeless.